Yo, 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 yo. It's a me. We back. How we doing? Today I have something interesting for everybody. um, should be fun. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Cheers. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Was hoping I wasn't prepared. Thank you. Today, let me change some settings real quick. We'll zoom in. Oh, nope. Like 1.6 maybe, and then zoom. Okay. Yeah, I have some interesting topics today for everybody. And that topic is I think I gotta bounce more light off though. Well, now it's dark. It's like I'm in the cave. Hold on. Fix the lighting while we're waiting for everybody to get in. Is that better? Like marginally? You gotta find like an in-between. Dark cam for a dark subject. Well, I don't know how dark it is. It's kind of honestly a little funny, although concerning in many ways. Guess it's funny because it's so unhinged. But yeah. I figured it would be perfect because while I am not a psychiatrist nor really a psychologist, I do know a lot about ethics, especially for psychologists, and I'm pretty aware of like the process of like that's involved with mental health stuff. So I wanted to show you guys like and sort of comment on that whole thing. Gameplay. Except for it's not gameplay, it is where is it? In okay, that looks alright. Maybe not. Hold on. Every time. Like, I could just share all my screen, but I feel like that's just a recipe for disaster, bruh. Okay. Did I do it? Sure. Alright. But yeah, how we doing? How's everybody doing? Let me change my white balance, bro. I'm too, like, nitpicky about these kind of things. You'd think I'd do it before stream, but maybe no white balance, just the raw. I feel like that looks pretty good. Looks almost the same. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this whole thing, and I figured I am going to join the voice chat here, and then if anybody has things that they want to talk about, drop in, comment on. I'll be in the Discord, so if that interests you, feel free to drop by. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Oh, let me fix this here. That works, sure. And then I'll do like a little bit of this. Hey, how's it going, Pedro? How you doing? We're doing some commentary today. Just want to say hi, you need to sleep? Oh, no worries. Well, good to see you. Hope you sleep well. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully we'll see you another time. There we go. My hair looks good, thank you. I low-key trimmed it myself. So, I'm glad it turned out okay. Alright. I did a good work, thank you. I'm gonna quit school, drop out, become a barber. I'm growing my Rapunzel hair. Man, I chose to start from the beginning, huh? Come on, let down your hair. Only way I'm doing that is if I have a big ol' wig. A tiggle big wig. Alright. Let me transition to that. Okay. It's really bright. Should I be compassionate towards you guys and turn dark mode on? I'll help you guys out. No, lol. Okay, we're doing flashbang. Alright. I will show you the world. Shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? Bruh. Do I have to like come? Ah, okay. I can open your eyes. About to get copyright claimed. Take you wonder by wonder, sideways, over and under on a magic carpet ride. Best Disney prince. Based. A whole new world. New fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no, or where to go. I was thinking about doing a Disney karaoke stream. Thoughts? Concerns? Any feelings about that? Bruh. I have a feeling I'm getting like way too picky with my thing, so I'm just gonna let it be. Oh, best Disney prince? Oh wow. I would say who was the best Disney prince? Oh. That is a very good question. Maybe... I'm sure there's a funny joke in there somewhere, but I'm taking this too seriously. I feel like it's gotta be Flynn Rider, but is he like a prince? You're gonna get muted for that, no doubt. Thank you, I'll take it as a compliment. Yeah, good to see you, Beth. We're about to go over something crazy, personally. What the heck? That was weird. But yeah, we'll just hang out for a little bit, and I'm gonna adjust my setup. Do we like larger cam for commentary? I feel like that makes sense, right? All right. Disney no allow the fun. That's very true. All right, so I just found this. I found this content, and I'm sure it's been on some of your feeds. And I just thought it was so morbidly fascinating and interesting and somewhat comedic at points, terrifying at others. So I wanted to bring you all along on the ride. Oh, let me start recording. Okay. All right, so yeah, I wanted to show you guys the wild ride I had while I was exploring this topic. I went down this rabbit hole on TikTok, which I'm sure many of you also have found on this on your For You page or whatever. This is a very interesting phenomenon that has been happening, and this phenomenon is one person, so I guess it's not even a phenomenon. Never heard of her? Good. So this is Kendra Hilty. She is helping ADHDers become empowered. So already, I mean, just based off of vibes, I was kind of like concerned, because honestly, mental health TikToks are like dangerous. Like they, not literally dangerous, but I don't find them to be completely reputable or like helpful to people. Seem like a net negative, to be honest, sometimes. But so Kendra, under here it says psych story. And there's more parts here.
I fell in
So she fell in love with her psychiatrist. See an autistic girl who seems legit and is positive, no drama. Oh, well, I mean, that's good. I mean, obviously there's outliers. I just, I think it's fair to be somewhat apprehensive towards creators that it just gives me some concern. But yeah, I'll just hit play.
In love with my psychiatrist, and he knew, and he kept me until I had the strength to leave after 4 years. Here it is, part 1. So I decided to go back on ADHD meds after many years of being off of them.
Okay.
I was on them in my early 20s to help me get through college, and then I went off of them because they just weren't, like, the side effects were too much over the benefits. But then in my late 20s, I read this book, Taking Charge of Adult ADHD, and it absolutely changed my life. For my fellow ADHDers, there's so many good things in here.
How long is this?
The biggest thing that I took away was that it's very important for ADHDers to be on meds. So I decided to make an appointment with a psychiatrist. I just Googled psychiatry in the city that I lived in, and I went with the first one that came up, and I got an appointment within a month. And then I booked a 90-minute intake, and I show up to the intake, and this man is my age, and I can't help but notice that he's pretty attractive, this psychiatrist. I fell in love with my psychiatrist, and he knew,
looping.
and he came.
Okay, so her claim for part 1 is that she fell in love with her psychiatrist. He knew and kept me for years until I had the strength to walk away. So that's the claim here. I just will say off the bat, the vibe check from me is concerned. I feel like I'm getting an intense vibe from her. It's just something I don't know what it is. If you think you know, let me know in the chat, because it's just so... Yeah, it's just a lot. Wow. Hold on, let me see if I can... Okay. So yeah, that's that. It's just intense. Let's go to part 2.
I fell in love with my psychiatrist, and he kept me anyway, part 2. So in this intake, you know, I kind of clocked that he was attractive in my age, but when I tell you that I've had a lot of couch time in my life, a lot of therapy, you know, I just went right into it. I trusted him enough, of course, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
To tell him about my childhood trauma, my daddy issues, if you will, what I had went through, all of the relationship trauma that I had. I was 6 months sober at this time, but like all of the drinking and substance use I used to do, and he just listened and nodded. And that's the thing about psychiatrists, is that they're good at pretending to listen. They can appear connected, but that doesn't mean that they're always connected. So I just felt really seen, and I also told him, I was like, look, I don't want to be on stimulant meds. So he listened to me, and he put me on the non-stimulant ADHD med at the lowest dose, just to figure out if it was going to work for me. I fell in love with my psychiatrist.
So a couple things I'm noticing here. Shh, stop. So she felt very... what was the word that she used? She felt very cared for, kind of. That was the vibe that she got. It was interesting that she said they're very good at pretending to listen. Because if somebody pretends to listen, you can super tell, right? Even if they're really good at pretending, you can tell just from the presence of like the interaction. So if they're not able to be present, if they're not really listening, then it's not going to go well. Now I have a feeling, just based off of the context that I have in other parts of this journey that I've taken myself on outside of this, I think she might be doing a lot of the heavy work on her end, and him not really doing that much. except for his job. She did mention that she went on a non-stimulant medication. Is it... We could look at what that would be. So I've got a book here. Handbook for Clinical Psychopharmacology. Let's see. If we go to... would that be... I believe that would be under other miscellaneous. Okay. Hold on. 185. Please hold. I cite my sources, okay? Alright, Tourette's, that's not it. Attention deficit, okay, there might be an easier way to do this. I'm pretty sure there's a thing in here. Okay. Well, I'll find it another time. But yeah, it's so she wanted to go back on ADHD medication, which is great. So she's seeing a psychiatrist, which is great. Obviously he's gonna listen to her, which is great, as he should. I'm not really seeing any problems here. So this is part 2.
I was in love with my psychiatrist and he kept me anyway, part 3. So I hadn't ever seen a psychiatrist before. When I was on meds in my early 20s, I only got meds from my primary care physician. So I didn't understand how psychiatry works.
Okay.
So because he was figuring out my med dose, I saw him every month.
Okay.
And he just made me feel like I was his friend. He was really, really funny.
That's
and
good.
Cracked jokes.
Yeah.
And told me he was impressed with my running that I would do.
Sure, yeah.
And yeah. So, of course, I loved the attention that I got from him.
Sure.
And it was in my 3rd session with him, because at this point we were all on Zoom, that I asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if I call you by your first name? And he's Pakistani, so I said his first name wrong. And he said, well, it's pronounced this, but yes, of course you can. And he seemed so smug and happy with himself. And I know that that is because that was his first sign that him pretending like we're friends was working. And to be fair to me, I had only ever been to therapy before. I didn't realize that, it's important to call your doctor last name. I mean, I did know that. I did it with all my other doctors, but it just showed that the boundaries were blurring, and he liked it.
No, that's okay.
So from then on, from my 3rd session on, I started calling him his first name. And then he just started turning up the volume on us being friendly.
Okay.
And he would ask me, for the first 6 sessions, he asked me, after the meds, he said, how's your bowels, bladder, and appetite? And I would say they're all normal. And then he would ask me any thoughts of harm. And apparently that's pretty common for psychiatry.
Yeah, it's their job.
Those questions.
Yeah.
And then on our 6th session, when things were really, the chemistry was starting to be there before, like, I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, this man is just friendly. And he said, I have to ask this because it's a special interest of mine, but is there any thoughts of harm? Like I was special to him. And I said, no thoughts of harm. And he didn't ever ask me a clinical question again. He stopped asking me about my bladder, bowels, and appetite, and
Yep.
he stopped asking me about thoughts of harm.
Okay.
So to me, I would just show up, and he was like a therapy appointment every month. I was in love with my
Okay. Wow, there's just so much there. So I'll point this out for people. And maybe, I don't know, for people that are interested in psychology, they might notice some of this stuff, so that's why I'm kind of putting it out there. I think some of her ideas about psychiatry and psychology, so psychiatry, they still learn about like psychotherapy techniques because it helps the clients feel welcome and open, and then they can sort of figure out how they can best treat them using psychopharmacology, right? So it's good to have a skilled therapist. I will say she's very lucky because I feel like, at least from my experience and what I've seen around me, having an hour-long appointment with a psychiatrist is pretty great. I'm glad that she was able to get that time once a month. You know, that's pretty frequent. But I think that seems legit based on like the attention that she might need because she's going on a new medication, and it seems like she had an adverse reaction to it before when she went off, so that frequency makes sense. But I'm so confused because from what she's saying, it's like, oh, why are you asking me about, why is it in your interest to ask me if I've had any thoughts of self-harm? It's like, okay, well, it's kind of part of the job. Like, it is his special interest because he's a psychiatrist, and so it's especially his interest to make sure that you don't have thoughts of self-harm. So I'm not really quite sure where she's going with that, but I also just want to reiterate that I think her idea of psychiatry and psychology is based off of like psychoanalytic, right? So Freud, and then if you're going to like analytical psychology, Jung and Freud are like super popular with people because they have very common books that you can pick up and kind of try to figure out. And what often happens, especially with Jung, is that people pick up Jung and they read it and they think they know, but it just seems, for some reason, Jung becomes like a weird, like it just goes off the deep end. Like, it's not, I think people extrapolate a lot on that one. And yeah, as Gwagan pointed out, never good when a TikToker turns off the comments. I'm pretty sure initially that they had their comments turned on, so I think they were getting flamed.
After I risked my life to see him, that's when he really started turning up the intimacy in our appointments.
Okay.
However, he was really smart and knew the professional lines like the back of his hand. So he would comment on my appearance,
sure,
but not compliment my appearance.
Sure.
So I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you curled your hair." Or I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you're wearing glasses." And of course I felt seen and excited that he was noticing these things about me. I didn't realize at this time that he had feelings for me too. I thought I was holding them all by myself. So I was so excited when he noticed my glasses that I ran and showed him
I gotta stop. No. That's just building rapport, right? You sit down with somebody, and it's nice if somebody makes a comment about the way, like, appearance, like. And also earlier in that earlier video, she was like, I think it was in part 1 or something. She was like, he complimented the fact that I run, that I'm a runner. It's like, okay, that seems like a super normal thing to do. Like, just be like, oh, that's really cool. I really admire, like, your, you know, that you have the drive to run marathons and stuff. I think that's really admirable. Like, that's not even, I feel like that's not even crazy. Oh my god. All right.
Hair, and he said, I prefer turtle shell glasses. So even though I usually wear contacts, I'm wearing these turtle shell glasses in these videos because just in case he sees them ever, he'll see.
Oh my god. This is only part... Wait, hold on. Did we skip something? Part 3 to 6.
After I risked my life to see him.
Okay, we're just gonna go with it because this is her playlist. So, hold on. Let's see. Does it jump? Did we miss something? Run it back. Oh my god. Okay, we're just gonna go through the timeline.
Every month, and just gaining more and more respect for him because he would just tell me these little things about his successes and all of the cool things that he was doing in his life.
Okay.
And it made me fall for him, honestly. And he was really good at listening.
Yeah, and, I would hope so.
Pisces, right?
Okay. Not that Pisces. Oh my god. Oh my god. Guys, my psychiatrist is really good at listening. It's because he's a Pisces. Like, yeah, that's definitely it. It's his star sign. It's definitely not the training that he had to be a good listener. It's not like his experience in the medical field that made him a good listener. It's totally because he's a Pisces, bro. Oh my god. I'll make it through. We'll be okay.
He's gonna be there, and be able to go.
The star signs drive me particularly insane because, like, what do I even say?
I got a new therapist. I stopped begging my psychiatrist.
Oh, what happened?
So I was seeing him every month, and he was really good at listening. Yeah. And I mean, he's a Pisces, right?
Yeah, that's totally why. Yeah, I get you.
And be able to go deep with my feelings, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't extracting from them.
I don't know.
Anyway, so I would beg him to let me see him every week. Beg him, because my therapist at the time, he was fine. You know, he wasn't a predator, but he was fine. He just wasn't doing very much for me. And so that therapist retired, and I got a new therapist. And this new therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman with a PhD, she was pretty helpful. So I stopped asking my psychiatrist, begging, honestly, to be my therapist and let me see him more, right? Which also should have been a red flag. But then I started focusing on this therapist.
A red flag from who? Who is this a red flag to? You? He's a psychiatrist. He's not a therapist. Okay, so he's not gonna be able to. His concern is with your medication. There's no need. Like, there's almost nothing that's gonna happen within a week that he needs to check up on. Like, if he needs to check up on you weekly, that means that you're in a facility. Like, that's too much.
However, I would tell the therapist how obsessed I was with my psychiatrist, and she didn't do anything about it.
Okay, what is she supposed to do?
She just was interested.
She's being a therapist. She's trying not to judge. She's just listening. When somebody says something in psychotherapy, you're gonna ruin the therapeutic rapport if you start judging them. So obviously, like, you're not gonna start being like, oh, I'm gonna need to stop you right there. You shouldn't be in love with your psychiatrist. Oh my god.
She also loved stories about my dating life.
Sure, yeah.
And yeah, she also was getting supply from me in her own way.
Okay, she keeps on insinuating getting supply. She also mentioned predatory, like predator. So I don't know where she's going with that, but I guess we'll see.
But that's for another part. So yes, so I got a new therapist who actually helped me. She taught me CBT,
Good.
EFT,
That's great.
all of these different modalities. And so I went back to just being okay with seeing Irfan once a month.
Bro. Okay. she leaks the psychiatrist's name. I'm sure if I wanted to, I could find him. I'm not going to, though, because I'm a better person than that, and I'm not going to dox this guy.
While he was giving me these little breadcrumbs of making me feel special, telling me about his professional achievements, telling me about how he's getting international recognition, and it worked. I was really impressed.
What is the context here? We're missing context. Like, is he just saying this? Like, he just saying it out of nowhere? Or are you asking him? Or
I got a new therapist. I stopped begging my psychiatrist to see me weekly. And that is when the intermittent reinforcement started.
Okay.
Some sessions he'd be warm and kind and wonderful and let me in on little parts of his life and like be vulnerable with me or pretend.
Sure. So that's self-disclosure. That is a completely valid thing in these sort of environments. Like you disclose a little bit about yourself to make it more personal, right? Like, it's weird sometimes for people to have a therapy session, or I guess in this, like a session, a check-in with a psychiatrist. It's kind of weird if it's just one person talking and they ask about another person, and then you're like, I'd rather talk about you, because at a certain point it's like, okay, well, now you're just dodging me. So
sessions, he would be cold and clinical and detached, and you know what that did? It made me work harder.
Okay.
In our next sessions.
What is that?
It did.
Okay.
And it started the addiction that I had to him.
Oh my God.
100%. And he knew exactly what he was doing.
Did he?
This man gives lectures on trauma and attachment theory.
Sure, yeah.
He used his psychiatric training to manipulate me and get me hooked. And guess what? It worked. In January of 2024, I was hit by a car turning left.
Okay, wait, I didn't know this is this early. Okay, I'm gonna need you guys to pay attention to this part, okay? Are you ready? So she gets hit by a car.
I was going through a green light. And it was the night before my next appointment with my psychiatrist. So I was like, okay, you know, I'll still be able to go to my appointment on Zoom. I'm okay. But I did make an appointment with an urgent care the next day just to get checked out. I had bruising on my abdomen and a perforated eardrum. And the provider at the urgent care said, I do not feel comfortable treating you. You need to seek emergency care now. You may be internally bleeding. But it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and my appointment with my psychiatrist was at 2.
Oh my God.
So I decided that I was going to wait so I could see my psychiatrist
oh my God.
and not have to reschedule.
Oh my God.
I was looking forward to my appointment with him so much.
Oh my God.
I look back at that time, and I'm just like, oh my God, I put my own life under seeing him. I was fully addicted to him at this point.
Okay.
And you know what happened? Is that I showed up and I told him that I may be internally bleeding, and he didn't stop the appointment.
Okay. Please. So she gets hit by a car and she goes to urgent care and they're like, oh, we need to rush you to the ER. Like, we need to treat you right now. You have internal bleeding. And then she's like, oh no, I'd rather not. I think I need to wait because I need to make my appointment with my psychiatrist I'm in love with. And then she says that to him, and he doesn't say anything, probably because he's used, like, how is he supposed to know that you're serious? And also, I just don't. Sure, I get it. Maybe he should have like been like, okay, if that's actually true, then I need to stop. Like, we need to stop, and you need to go. And I think honestly, that's probably what I would have done. But it just depends on the person. Like, maybe she just lies a lot, and so maybe he's just like, oh, okay.
He didn't say, you need to take care of yourself. Go get emergency care now.
Mm-hmm.
He let me continue
and part of this is like, do you think that she was doing this just for attention? Like, not like how do I put this? she wants him to have feelings for her so badly that she's willing to make him feel any feeling, right? So that includes concern, right? Okay, how can I do that in an extreme way? Okay, I was hit by a car. Okay, and I have an appointment soon. So I'm just going to go in and then I can get his concern. And then it's like, boom, easy. So obviously you can see that she's upset that he didn't give her the reaction that she wanted. She didn't get that from him.
Just tell him about how much I loved him and how grateful I was for him. Because that was really what most of our appointments were, is me just like pouring myself out. Because he was so good at the intermittent reinforcement.
Okay.
Yeah, I got some warmth from him that appointment. So that was January 2023. And I also told my therapist about this. She said nothing. I got it.
Oh my God. It just also depends on the therapist that you're seeing. Like, maybe they aren't saying much. Because some forms of psychotherapy don't talk too much. Like, you're mostly listening, and then the client does most of the work for you. It's just giving me weird vibes. I'm not gonna lie. It's just something off about it. Like, she's trying to manipulate him for something. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
After I risked my life to see him, that's when he really started.
And you can tell, like, she's saying that for dramatic. Like, after I risked my life to see him. Like, she wants a reaction out of that.
Turning up the intimacy in our appointments. However, he was really smart and knew the professional lines like the back of his hand.
Almost like he's a professional. I mean, I don't want to, you know, just a thought.
So he would comment on my appearance, but not compliment my appearance.
Yeah.
So I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you curled your hair." Or I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you're wearing glasses."
Yep.
And of course I felt seen and excited that he was noticing these things about me. I didn't realize at this time that he had feelings for me too. I thought I was holding them all by myself. So I was so excited when he noticed my glasses that I ran and showed him my other pair, and he said, "I prefer turtle shell glasses." So even though I usually wear contacts, I'm wearing these turtle shell glasses in these videos because just in case he sees them.
Okay, red flag. And also, how much do we want to bet that he was wearing tortoiseshell glasses? And he was just like, "And I prefer tortoiseshell." Joke about me like wearing tortoiseshell. Like, bruh. I definitely believe she has weird vibes. Perhaps there's some truth in the words when he should have said something about the emergency visit. Yeah, definitely. No, I totally get you, Beth. And I think we agree on that. I think what I'm saying is that I think both are true. I think she is using that incident to try to get something out of him, right? Like some sort of feeling out of him. Because she wants him to feel feelings about her, right? Like concern and I don't know, like she wants to be coddled or something. And in the same time, like they should have been more concerned, and I think that's fine. But also like I think we're missing context for sure. But it's just like weird the way that she's saying it, because it's like so much context is missing. I don't know how she's wording this, right? So it feels like, you know, when somebody leaves out information and you're like, okay, yeah, the way that you're telling it, that sounds bad, but I feel like it's off because I don't have enough context. Like there's like, it kind of feels like you're manipulating the information, and that I'm kind of getting the sense that's what's happening here.
He'll see me in his favorite glasses. He did tell me he likes the turtle shell. Anyway, it was just inappropriate things like that.
And also like the fact that she's like, he said he liked tortoiseshell, so I'm wearing tortoiseshell in these videos.
Things that he let me in. And all this time, my best friend is an emergency medicine physician. And
I would tell my bestie about my psychiatrist often because I was so obsessed with him.
told me, she said, Kendra, one of these days, your psychiatrist, she would use his name, is going to say, I can't be your doctor anymore. I want to be with you. I want to be with you.
Bruh, with friends, like, if you have a friend that is gonna reinforce your delusional, like, fantasies, you gotta get a different friend. This is not good. This is a bad friend. This is not good.
You so bad. I can't be your
and
doctor.
Also, she's like trying to my friend who's an emergency like an emergency medical doctor or something. It's like, what does that have to do with anything?
I'll see you in 2 years. So my best friend who's a doctor, she picks up on stuff like that.
Who's a doctor? Okay.
So even she knew that our relationship was crossing boundaries and getting weird, but that became my dream, was for my psychiatrist, I almost use his name, to do that. And I told him about Brianna saying that, my best friend, who's the emergency medical doc. I told him that she would tell me that, and he just would be silent. He didn't disagree, but he didn't agree.
Yeah.
And that was weaponized neutrality.
Okay. Weaponized neutrality. I don't know where she's getting these words from. He's literally just doing his job. He doesn't comment on it because he's just prescribing your medication. What? He's just gonna sit there, listen for the relevant things, and then try to adjust your medication if it's needed. So, yeah, of course he's not gonna comment on this because this doesn't have anything to do with him.
Was his favorite game to play, right? He didn't disagree with Brianna telling me that my psychiatrist had feelings for me, but he also didn't say that's inappropriate, let's change the subject. It was also around this time that I asked my psychiatrist if he had diagnosed me with anything other than ADHD when I had my initial diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, what did you diagnose me with? And he said, well, you had a lot of traumatic things happen to you in childhood because of your dad, and so I diagnosed you with other trauma and stressor related disorder.
Okay.
And that was the first little ping that I got of like, that was weird. Why would he keep that from me? I asked him, why wouldn't he tell me that? That seems important. He didn't tell me because he was using that information to manipulate me.
So, I get what she's trying to say, and I honestly, I do agree with her in the sense that, I think most people, no, you're playing games with us, Colin. Yeah, I have secret diagnoses for everybody. No, I'm just kidding. No, I definitely don't. I don't have the brain power or the anything to do that. Oh my god. So, there could be valid reasons to not tell somebody about their diagnosis. Sometimes, if you know that these people are going to use that knowledge in a negative way, or like it's going to negatively impact their life if they do know, then you might not tell them. And I don't have enough information. Maybe that is the right choice with her. Personally, so with humanistic psychology, which is the type of psychology that I study, the best way to go about diagnosis, from what I understand, is to make it collaborative. So you're checking with the client to make sure that it makes sense. And so they're going to know about potential diagnoses or any diagnoses that you do think that they have, because you're trying to be open, you're trying to be communicative, and you're trying to be like humanistic, right? You're trying to be fair to them. Like, you want them to be like positively regarded. Like, you believe in their inherent self-worth, right? So personally, I think it's a bit weird to not tell her, but not in like a sinister way. I just don't agree with that approach. But, you know, there definitely could be instances, like for instance, if there was somebody that you know likes to weaponize like diagnoses, I would have to talk to some people, but just my instinct would be not to necessarily always tell them, because it could then be used to hurt other people, you know? And then in the same way, it can hurt the client if they over-identify with these things. So, yeah.
He knew I had trauma and stressor disorder, and instead of helping me heal from it and telling me about it, he used it against me.
And we don't have any context or proof for that. Like, she's just saying that.
2023, at this point, I was full-blown obsessed with my psychiatrist, and my therapist wasn't helping me, my psychiatrist wasn't helping me, he was feeding it. And then I got a boyfriend, and at first my psychiatrist wasn't really that keen, but then my psychiatrist realized that my boyfriend was a lot like my psychiatrist.
Oh my God.
And then I started talking to my psychiatrist about my sex life.
Oh my God.
About tracking my cycle, using the fertility awareness method. And my psychiatrist loved it. He didn't never say, this isn't inappropriate to your care, let's pivot. Oh.
It's going to, like, he probably didn't say anything because it's probably information that is useful, because a lot of these medications, they impact sex drive and, like, arousal and stuff. So that's super within his territory of, like, caring about that for, like, your treatment.
He just let me talk and talk and talk about my sex life. And I didn't get too deep, but about a year and a half in, and I would send my psychiatrist these emails just about how much I liked him and how I was so grateful for him, and put in a bunch of heart emojis.
Blocked.
And this is really when he should have transferred my care, but
yeah,
you know, he waited. He liked what I did.
Okay, but I don't understand. This is not his fault. He's trying to help you. Trying to get, like, push through with the treatment. And I don't understand how he's the... Oh my God.
And so, even though my boyfriend did not meet my needs, my psychiatrist...
How much do we want to bet that her need for him to meet was that he was her psychiatrist?
And my therapist both were like, you have to stay with him. There's nothing wrong with him not meeting your needs. I'm like, okay. And my psychiatrist was like, he's perfect. Don't get wrong with him. And what was perfect about him was he wasn't meeting my needs. So I was still coming to my psychiatrist looking for emotional validation, which he would drip.
I feel like we need to, as a society, drift away, hopefully, from this needs-based discourse, because, like, we aren't freaking grocery stores. Like, we're people. Sometimes people aren't gonna meet all of our needs. It's not, I wouldn't say it's good for us to expect our partner to meet all of our needs, because, like, it's just not, it just doesn't make sense to expect that, because it's one person and it's just a lot. So I think that's probably where they were going with it. Like, if you view everything as needs, it's probably not going to end up very well. Possibly he was being too considerate to try and get her care instead of finding someone else. Yeah, so I do see what you're saying, Beth. I do think that, well, yeah, obviously he needs context, but the thing is, we're not going to get any other context, because he can't post online and defend himself, because that's breaking HIPAA. So this is what we get. There's no other context, because we're not going to ever get it, because it's illegal and immoral. Because, and this is the evidence that we got. So obviously, like, we need context for everything, and that's why I'm not diagnosing anything, but I will vibe check these things, you know? And the vibe check, not going too great for her. But
to me slowly. So my therapist, who I didn't know at this time had bad boundaries, but she did.
Sure, okay, maybe,
I went
probably.
to her because my boyfriend and I, after like more than a year together, we started having issues in the bedroom.
Sure, yeah.
And so I went to my therapist and she asked me, "What does your psychiatrist think about this?" And I said, "I don't know. I haven't talked to my psychiatrist about this stuff because I have a crush on my psychiatrist and I don't want to tell him this intimate of stuff." And she said, "Well, you should tell him."
He should make a public comment that just says ... Yeah, but he can't because that's still breaking HIPAA because it's implying that she was a patient, even if it's just ... You literally can't say anything. You can't even reveal that if she was a patient or not because that's breaking HIPAA.
Because I want a male's perspective. So at my next appointment...
Which, I will say, it's a bit weird to say that. I think it's understandable from her therapist. I personally would have gone the route with, I think you should talk to your psychiatrist because it's possible that it's your medications. It's possible.
With my psychiatrist, I told him, I said, "Today we're going to talk about my intimate life."
Okay.
And he said, "Oh." I said, "Yes." My psychologist, my therapist, asked what your opinion on it was, and I told her that I don't talk to you about this intimate stuff because I have a crush on you. And he looked down and smiled so big in that moment. He smiled so big.
And we just don't even know what that could mean. Like, how? Maybe he was just like, how do you react to that? He was probably like in shock. If he just left an empty comment, no anything, just blank, is that still breaking the law? It could be. You could make an argument that it's implying that he's commenting on something. Yeah, possibly there could just be some phrasing issues. And also, like, unreliable narrator, right? Like, we don't even know if they said anything this way. She could just be saying that they said it like this because that's what serves her narrative. Because honestly, I don't find her to be a reliable narrative in this sense, or narrator in this sense, because I feel like there's something off, like we're missing context, and it seems like the context is missing on purpose. She gives us just enough context to like feel weird about it, and then she gives us her interpretation of what that context means.
So gross thinking about it. And then I proceeded to give him
she could be a pathological
30
liar
of non-stop content about my intimate life.
Sure,
with my boyfriend.
That's definitely excessive on your end. Yeah.
And I actually recorded the whole thing because I was so excited.
So
about
weird.
It. But now it makes me sick. I can't even listen to the recording.
Yeah.
I've tried to start, but it's gross. Any ethical psychiatrist would have stopped me and said, "Kendra, let's talk about your meds. Let's talk about your care." At this point, my meds were stable. And I was still seeing him every month.
You know more about that than I do. Does that check out that she might be a pathological liar? I will decline to comment on that. I don't know if she's a pathological liar. I do think that how do I put this? Just outside of any diagnosis, out of any sort of clinical anything, it seems like she's comfortable with saying whatever serves her the best in the end. So that could be the truth, that could be a lie, that could be half-truths, right? And like, sure, I guess with you could interpret these things in that way. I don't think that's the way that you should interpret it because it doesn't seem right. It seems off. I believe she believes it. I don't believe her. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, I don't necessarily doubt that she believes this. I think she probably does believe all of this stuff, and it seems like, okay, I will give a spoiler here. It gets worse in the sense that she has been talking to ChatGPT. So she has almost like a ChatGPT boyfriend that she has been processing this with. And the problem with ChatGPT, especially during the time that she was doing this, is that it has a tendency to just affirm everything that you think. So I literally think it's highly possible that she literally gaslit herself into believing these things. I think it's super possible.
Yeah, that was a rough time.
I'm sure.
And it was pretty much his Christmas morning.
And how much do you want to? I feel like it's not that insane of an interpretation that maybe she felt like that was a really embarrassing interaction for her, as she probably should, because that's a really weird thing to do, is just like walk in and be like, hello, psychiatrist that I see once a month. I'm going to talk about my sex life in like a graphic detail for 30 minutes. That is embarrassing. And then if she leaves, she's probably trying to rationalize, like, I didn't like that, right? It's much easier to blame it on somebody else than to blame it on yourself. Like, oh, I don't know why I did that. Why did I do that? Instead, it's like, oh, I felt uncomfortable. I did that not because I chose to, but because he manipulated me. It's a lot easier on your ego, right?
The almost 2.5 years of grooming me.
Grooming is wild.
To get me to talk about sexual things.
Oh my God.
Him worked.
That's not. Literally, we don't have any proof. She just says that. Just says it. You know what? Maybe it is true. Doesn't seem likely, but you know, maybe it is true. We just don't have enough context. Like, I can't believe her because she'd just be saying that and no proof.
I need to address 3 things.
Oh God.
1, people are asking me what my mental health diagnosis is. I do not have BPD. I do not have psychosis. I have ADHD. And I was experiencing extreme limerence with my psychiatrist.
Oh my God. Y'all gotta stop talking about psychology stuff. Please. Oh my God. Is there a point where the doctor should say it's not relevant to care? It really just depends on the doctor. In some situations, it's not necessarily how do I say this? Sometimes it's the relationship that is therapeutic and not necessarily the treatment per se. So he could be trying to prioritize maintaining the therapeutic relationship and just withstanding the uncomfortable nature of what's being talked about because he believes that it's worth it, because what she needs is somebody to listen to her. And so he's okay with letting her kind of ramble on because that's kind of her thing. Same thing with like, if you're doing person-centered therapy, it's a lot of listening and you're not going to do as much intervention stuff because that's they're undergoing a process. Now there's ways that he might have guided the conversation without her knowing. So, for instance, man, I feel like I'm revealing all the secret tools, the trade secrets. There's this technique that is used in person-centered therapy that's basically like, when you're actively listening to somebody, you're going to use rephrasing to better understand them and also to guide them into better understanding what they're talking about. So that could be like rephrasing. So she's saying like, I'm I'm having all these problems in the bedroom with my boyfriend, and it's because I just don't feel yada yada yada. And then the psychiatrist or therapist would say, yeah, it sounds like you're really frustrated because you're having problems in the bedroom with your boyfriend. And he's just rephrasing it just to make sure, like, to verify that that is how she's feeling. And then there's also ways to, like, you kind of make a shot in the dark in your empathic response. So that empathic response might be like, you must be really mad about, like, not being able to do this in the bedroom. And it's entirely possible that she's like, well, actually, I don't know. I wasn't that mad. I wouldn't say that. But even that response, just making that shot in the dark, makes her reflect more on the internal processes that are going on. And, like, just, it's, even that is helpful to some degree. So there could be ways that he's sort of guiding this conversation that she's not aware of. Because, to be honest, if this is a long-term client, and if he's kind of old, because it sounds like he's doing some sort of, like, integrated approach where he does, like, a little bit of psychotherapy, because I feel like an hour is a really long consultation for a medicine, like for a prescription. So he must be doing something else within that session. And so my guess is that it was some sort of integrated treatment where he was providing some level of counseling or something. But then that's a bit weird, because if he was, then it might have been heightened to more than once a month. So I'm not super sure on that. But I don't know, 1 hour is, like, really long.
Psychiatrist. Limerence is a normal thing to happen to anyone who is experiencing hot...
All right. If somebody that you know starts talking about limerence, you know, if you're using it to self-reflect and all that, that's cool. Like, all power to you. I feel like we just should, like, we don't got to talk about all things psychology, you know? Like, we can...
and cold...
It's like we can't talk about normal human experience anymore. We got to talk about everything in psychological terms, bro. It's so annoying.
Behavior from someone, and it happens more
Makes us
often
feel important.
in people with ADHD because we have dopamine dysregulation.
I don't just have, like, an issue with this. It's because I have limerence. It sounds better.
And rejection.
I'm not just saying that about her too. I'm saying, like, we don't gotta psychologize everything. Like, maybe you just got some issues that you gotta work out in terms of, like, your relationships. It doesn't have to be always, like, the vocab.
Dysphoria. And guess what? My psychiatrist knew that and used it to his advantage.
How do we know?
Two, I
you keep saying this.
said my psychiatrist's first name.
You did.
In one of my videos.
We were all there.
If you clocked it, good for you.
I clocked it.
I do not owe him anonymity.
I'm standing on business.
This is not about doxing my psychiatrist. This is about me sharing my story so other people can view predatory behavior in people in power. Okay? If anyone doxes my psychiatrist with his last name or city that he works in or clinic that he works in, your comment will be immediately deleted and you will be blocked. This is about protecting other victims, not doxing my psychiatrist.
That's
if you
good.
do some
Thank you.
investigative work and you want to DM me about it,
yeah.
I'm open to that. Okay?
Okay, that's a bit weird.
I need to take a moment.
Me too. Oh my god. While she's taking a moment, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and take my moment. Be right back. All right, did we take our deep breaths? How are we feeling? Try not to get overwhelmed, everybody. I'm certainly trying my best. Ugh. Oh my gosh, this is so much. Alright, what was she saying? Don't dox my therapist. Based, okay? Based.
Moment taken.
Psychiatrist, sorry.
It is so incredibly disturbing to me.
Yeah.
The amount of people that are
I'm gonna just protect you all.
In my comments. That are
we've literally watched all of these in order. I don't know where she's getting the data to call them predators. I just don't get, like, we're missing the context. So we're not defenders, we just don't, like, we just don't know.
Victim blaming me, especially the mental health practitioners in my comments, using therapy speak to say that this situation that I was in was my fault.
Girl, this is literally what you're doing in these. You're using therapy speak. It's the same thing.
Or that I was delusional. Check yourself. You're giving me more ammunition to share my story, because it just goes to show how absolutely messed up the mental health industry is and how protected people who do this kind of sick psychological manipulation are. So I will continue with my story tomorrow. I will see you all then. I need to address 3 things. 1,
so
people are
that was crazy. Ay. Hold on. How do I do this? I'm trying to pull up my chat. Chat? Is this real? Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me... Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay. You know what? We're just gonna ball.
Asking me what my mental health diagnosis is. I do not have BP. Welcome back to
part
another
8.
installment of I Was in Love with My Psychiatrist and He Kept Me Anyway, part 8.
She's keeping the tortoise shell, baby. She keeping the tortoise shell.
You all did some nasty work last night, and I had to turn off comments.
Nasty work.
People started posting my psychiatrist's first and last name, his picture.
That's crazy.
That was a jump scare.
That's crazy.
So, yeah.
Also, like, come on. You're going to TikTok for this. Nobody's going to take this seriously. Even if this is the most, like, intense, serious thing ever, nobody's going to take, like... What are you expecting?
A few bad actors who wanted to be super sleuths got the privilege of commenting, mostly hate, let's be real, taken away for everyone.
And you know what? That's valid. I get it.
So at this...
Also, like, it is a red flag, because if you're getting flamed like this, just saying, it's possible that they're picking up on something.
But in the story, there are 2 main players. My psychiatrist, who's my age, who crossed major ethical boundaries. And
I will say he did not cross any major ethical boundaries insofar as what we, like, within what we know now, so far, he has not done that. He has made decisions that professionals might have different opinions on, but nothing has been unethical. And if I gotta, I will pull up the APA codes of ethics and guidelines for psychologists. I know that psychiatrists might have a different one, but heck, maybe I can find that one too. We can pull it up. I'll bring up the documentation. I don't care.
And my therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman with a PhD. Neither of these people, at this point in the story, I knew were crossing boundaries.
That's good.
I thought that everything was hunky-dory and that I was just in love with my psychiatrist and it was totally normal.
Yeah.
Little did I know he was manufacturing everything So I could fall in love with
we
him.
just don't know that.
Because it was on him to set the professional boundary and not let attention.
And you know what? This could be valid. This could be valid. I think it is a valid criticism from what I know right now to say that maybe homeboy should have transferred her. But also, I think it's also a valid decision to keep her on, because sometimes, like, it's up to the therapist. Personally, I would feel uncomfortable if somebody, well, first of all, if somebody was looking at me like this, I would already be uncomfortable, because this is intense. This look that she's got right now, really unfortunate pausing on my end. I feel like she's really staring in my soul here. Thanks, Ella. Great. Thanks for the suggestion. Let me just, yeah, don't do that. Appreciate it. Bruh.
Build. So, days after my psychiatrist
hey, Panda.
Christmas morning appointment.
Thank you for coming.
A few videos back where he got a crush confession from me.
Yeah, to be fair, at what point do you stop an emotionally attached person? That's the thing. It just really depends, because it's up to the in my personal opinion, and honestly, it's not worth much. Just to say, I'm just a dude. I've got a master's in clinical psychology, and like, I am in line to you know, I'm in classes for a PhD. In no way am I an expert. I'm not qualified, you know, just to put that out there, you know. But just from me, my personal experiences and vibe check, I just, either way, I think isn't necessarily totally wrong. I have something that I would probably prefer to do, which is probably to transfer, because I just, yeah, it's just, the problem with keeping a client like this is that it could lead to major ethical violations. Him keeping her on isn't one of them, because if he feels like he can responsibly continue to treat her, and he feels like he has the competency to do that, and he's in the best position to do so, I think it could be argued. Random topic, but it's wild to me that you guys still have classes during your PhD. Yeah. Well, a lot of them are for, like, how do I say that? Like, clinic, it's more for our internship stuff. So, most of the time in PhD, like, you don't take classes for too long.
And then 30 minutes of
I get what you're saying, Beth. There are some valid lessons in it, even if she's out of it. I do agree with what you're saying, but also, like, I am personally not inclined to run defense for this person, because this is kind of like harassment, to be honest. She is harassing her old psychiatrist, and I almost guarantee that there's people doing unhinged stuff with his, like, because now he's doxxed. So, over here the PhD students just do research, write a couple papers, and then write their thesis. Yeah, I think that's pretty common too. But, yeah, I think it just depends on the program.
Stop intimate content that he did not stop me. My boyfriend and I broke up days later. So then I started dating this other guy. And this other guy, this new guy, was a therapist. And
just another instance of, I think she's trying to date her psychiatrist, because she keeps on finding men, I think. That weird.
I was like, oh great, someone who will be able to emotionally meet my needs. Yeah, not gonna date another therapist again. So this therapist and I, we went for coffee, it was nice. Our second date was a hike. And on this hike, this therapist starts telling me about how he has a crush on one of his clients.
And I just, like, just don't know what to like. I don't know what to believe. I just don't know. I just feel like she's lying.
I thought to myself, okay, this is strange, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, we're on a date, dude. Why are you telling me about a crush?
Does that mean it also varies in the US? Sorry. No, you're good. I won't speak because I don't want to speak on programs that I'm not a part of. But it also could have to do with my PhD program is an integrated one. So on the way to getting the PhD, I'm getting the master's. So I think some of the things are a bit more mixed up. It might be a bit different if but actually no, in my school, I think the people that have their masters still have to take the classes. But I think it's because schools want a standardized level of training and a standardized level of education. And my school is actually APA adjacent. Like it's, I don't know how to explain that, but essentially like the American Psychological Association, they standardize the education to a certain level so that all of the graduates that are trying to become licensed clinical psychologists, that all of them are meeting a certain standard, which is good. And my program meets that standard. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of PhD students in the US have to take some classes, but I'm not in those other programs, so I won't say much about that.
I'm one of your clients, but go off, King. So then he was saying, yeah, she's so attractive, and I think she likes me too.
That's, if this is true, that is really weird.
And her coworkers say, oh, so-and-so talks about you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, where does she work? And he said, well, I shouldn't tell you that because I really shouldn't be visiting her anyway. I was like,
yeah, that is really weird. If this is true, this man needs to get his license taken away.
He continues. And he said, yeah, she wears these red lacy panties.
Wild thing to say.
Skirts.
Also, what? Wild thing.
For me. And like alarm bells were going off in my head. Mind you, I had no idea that my psychiatrist had similar feelings towards me at this point.
We don't know this. I feel like everything that you've given as evidence is like delusional.
But I just thought, wow, this man is borderline predatory.
Sure, yeah.
And
that was weird.
Yeah, and she just is so attractive that I have to smash mermate before every session because I just have to get that energy out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. And yeah, he just felt compelled to tell me, and I did not understand why.
Okay.
Now I do.
Now tie it in.
So he told me about how he's a predator.
How's this related?
Another predator in the mental health industry.
Oh my God.
Shocker. So then, at my next appointment with my psychiatrist.
At a certain point, I will show you guys why she has a vested interest in. Oh my God. I'll allow that. That's not misogyny. That's valid. The message got held for misogyny. We just don't do anything through the lens of social media. Why would you go to such detail on something that would cost you your license on your first date with a random crazy woman? Yeah, that's why I find it just so hard to believe, because it's just so absurd, and I hope that it's not true. Yeah, and she could just be writing a story that never happened at all. She does have a vested interest in showing people, like, she has a reason for sowing this distrust, and I think I can show you when it becomes relevant, because we still have quite a bit to dive into.
It had been 6 weeks.
She could have used ChatGPT. Even worse, she could have used ChatGPT to think it.
Crush confession and 30 minutes of content. Oh, for whatever he wanted to use it for.
Like, what is?
Right?
How do we? What do we know that?
If my psychiatrist was good at anything, it was being professional and acting professional.
That is good.
And technically not crossing any lines.
Yeah, good.
And he thought that he was so good at it because he
Sure.
was good.
I don't. What's the complaint here?
He wasn't doing it.
Oh my god.
And
what does that mean?
I told him. I said, yeah, Bo and I broke up. He had known about this other guy, my psychiatrist. I mentioned him. And I told him that this new guy and I went on a date and we went on a hike.
That's great.
I literally had no idea at this point, I'll say it again, that my psychiatrist was predatory towards me. I almost said his first name.
You know what? At this point, we don't know either. A random tiny cup is. I know.
It
threw me off.
My psychiatrist, and I told him
like
this story
the tea
about this man that I went on a date with, who's a therapist, is relieving
Go on teas in the chat.
before appointments and talking about his clients' panties and
yeah, that's really wrong.
Doing all of these other extremely inappropriate things, like visiting her at work. And this man, my psychiatrist, looked like he had seen a ghost.
Yeah.
And like he was gonna vomit.
I would have, yeah.
Because he prided himself on being an extremely professional and buttoned up person.
Yep.
But here I was holding a mirror to him.
And we just don't know. She's extrapolating so hard. I would feel that way, but that's because it's just so morally, like if I had a client that came and told me these things, like they met a therapist, and this is somebody in my profession that I know the ethics of the profession, and somebody's telling me that this person was saying, and they were like outside of their client's work and saying they got red lacy panties, like I would also probably feel sick and disgusted and be like, I can't believe this. Not because it says anything about me, but because it's like morally wrong, and it's like, this is my profession. It's almost like a defensiveness, right? Like somebody is like sullying the reputation of this entire profession. It's just like, this is a crazy extrapolation.
With exactly what he was doing, but a bumbling idiot.
And how much do we want to, like, I almost feel, and this is just an idea, I don't know if this is actually what happened, but I don't think it would be impossible to think that she made the story up to tell him to, like, check, because she was secretly hoping that she did feel that way. Or that he felt that way. Did I say she? Yeah. I think she made up this because she wanted him to feel that way about her. And the fact that it upset him, she's like, ah, yeah, that means it's proof. And you know what? If she did go on this date with him, and, you know, I really hope that this person doesn't actually exist, because that would be bad. And I hope that their license gets taken away if they're real.
Me, like, how he was doing it without the fancy degree.
I'm only upset by horror movies because they reflect the darkest inner workings of my soul. Yeah. No, it's very much like when people say, like, yeah, heavy metal, it ruins the youth, you know, or like video games lead to like violent shootings. It's just not like,
without any of that.
We just don't know.
I look back on that now, and it's just crazy. And so
it is crazy.
All the fantasy material that I'd given him the session before.
I mean, you'd given him fantasy material, but it wasn't for him to use. It was your fantasy that you were giving him. Oh my god.
Hi, I need to say something really important.
Okay.
And that's that it seems as though many people view what I'm going through as a crush.
She scares me, I'm not gonna lie, but we're big boys, we're big girls, or big theys, and we're gonna sit through this.
What I'm doing as a mental health spiral.
You know,
and
that's
of course it seems like that.
fair.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's an extremely dark thing to talk about.
Yeah.
All of this
Sure.
that I went through.
Yeah.
And I am sharing my story.
Wait, are we getting close? Is this self-reflection? Hold on.
Because it wasn't out there. No one else has shared a story like this.
Okay, well,
It happens a lot because people are in my DMs telling me that the same thing that I went through, they went through too. I am now on TikTok.
I'm now in TikTok jail.
I got a violation
Oh my
on
god.
the video where I talked about really the biggest stand.
I don't know, we're supposed to believe women in 2025. Look, Beth, I'm an egalitarian, okay? That means I believe everyone, and I'm also skeptical of everyone. And also, I don't think believing... there was a court case, I forget which court case this was, but there was a good quote from this court case. They said, the motto, believe all women, does not belong in the court because it is inherently assumes innocence and victimhood. And that's not the job. It's not my job to assume innocence and victimhood. It's my job to be, you know, to have my wits about me. And I do feel like this is a net negative because, to be fair, there are tons of stories of people getting manipulated and being victims of terrible therapists and like atrocious things. The problem is, like, the way that this is presented, this is just devaluing other, like, valid testimonies, you know, because then it's just not, I don't think it's helping the way that she thinks it is. And I don't know.
Evidence against my psychiatrist.
And none of it's damning evidence. If so, take it to court.
So because of that, I have to be really careful. So I'm going to do my very best to not be reactive.
And that's the other thing. If she really did, like, this could be a legal matter. If he really had serious ethical violations, she could report this to, I'm assuming there's like a board of psychiatry wherever they are, because I'm assuming it's in America, and we got boards of psychiatry. If you report this to the board of psychiatry and they investigate it, he could get his license taken away. You know, is that not, like, if you do really have this proof, you should do that. Because if this is the truth, then he should have his license taken away.
And to share my story from a place of,
like, TikTok is not the forum for this.
Because the people in my DMs telling me that they've been through this too, it's keeping me going. It's not.
Guys, I got people in my DMs saying I'm always right, I'm never wrong, that when are you coming to Brazil? I got people in my DMs saying this is not a cult, you know, that what we are is not a cult. And you know what? That is the truth. And they're only saying that in DMs and not in public. And that's why you guys don't know about it. But believe me, they are in my DMs.
Not my mental health spiral. And I can understand that for some people in the mental health space, because they have been some of the loudest people to speak out against what I'm doing.
Probably because there's no ethical violations.
That someone could have this level of
the evidence
in such a high place of power. So just in case my video doesn't get put back up, when everything changed was when
Fire Nation
my
attacked.
75-year-old therapist, I went to her with intimate details, and she suggested I go to my psychiatrist with them. And I felt so excited and nervous to share that with him because I had such a big crush on him at the time.
Oh my God.
And I recorded all 33 minutes. So
now, well, wait, if this is mostly, I believe that these are online. I don't think she's mentioned that yet, but everything that she's talking about, these are all online telehealth appointments. So that just adds to the level of unhinged for me personally. It's like, oh yeah, once a month I meet for like an hour with a psychiatrist on telehealth on Zoom, and like I've fallen in love with him.
So this is why, you know, if my psychiatrist wants to come with me and like sue me for defamation,
you would love that.
33-minute recording.
You would love that because that's attention from him. You would love that.
Admitting I have a crush on him and speaking about extremely intimate details. It was in that moment that he really, really should have transferred my care.
I don't know about that. I think it depends. And maybe we can find a professional that comments on this.
But that moment changed everything for him too, because that's when things really started getting deep between us. And this is where the story is going to go from now. It's going to be a good story. And
it's a story to her. It's a story.
I'm going to try to tell it all today. Just in case one of my videos does get banned. So
and also, does this seem kind of dramatic? It's like very melodramatic.
If you're concerned for my
like she's acting.
Health, thank you.
Yeah, I you know what? I am concerned for your mental health.
More than good, actually.
I'm glad.
I am actually a coach for ADHDers. It says it in my bio.
Bro, okay, this is the conflict of interest.
And I help people work through self-limiting beliefs.
It gets so much worse.
I help people work through numbing with...
I feel like Lisan Al-Gaib to you guys. I have taken the spice and I'm seeing the future. I'm seeing all the paths. You guys aren't aware of it yet, okay? But I see the paths and I see how much more unhinged it gets. But trust me.
With alcohol and cannabis, because these are the things that so many of us do to avoid our truth.
True, yeah, valid.
And this is my truth and what I went through.
Sure.
Hi.
My truth is not the truth. Like, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Sometimes I'd be depressed, and I'm gonna be 100% with you. My brain is not telling me the truth most of the time on those. Oh, hey Vaughn, how you doing? Welcome to the Unhinged show, where we talk about this woman on TikTok devolving into chaos. Yeah, she needs a "don't believe everything you think" bumper sticker for sure. Yeah.
I need to say something really important.
Oh yeah. So she mentioned now that she is an online coach for ADHD, and I do have her website. Would we like to see it?
So this is when
because this is why this is my proposed opinion, okay? I don't know if this is true. Could it be possible that her business would benefit from sowing distrust in the mental health field? Perchance? Let's look at her website. So this is her website. This is in dark mode, so actually I'm going to take the dark mode off just so I can really expose you guys. Flashbang. Wow, that's a lot of yellow. Okay, welcome to my site. I'm glad you're here. Spiritual response therapy. First of all, what is an ADHD coach? I don't know what that is. Let's look. Wow. My coaching practice focuses on 3 key areas. Okay, sure. Yeah, this seems vague, but sure, it seems people would do that, tell lies on the internet. What? You're telling me people lie on the internet? That's crazy. A yoga instructor. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Good for her. Contact? That's crazy. Nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Not her having her whole ass phone number on. You guys didn't see that. Don't worry about it. That's crazy. Spiritual response therapy. Hell nah, bro. Oh no. Oh no. Spiritual response therapy is a powerful energy healing modality that works with your high self. Anybody working with their high self right now? To clear subconscious blocks, limiting beliefs, and soul level patterns that may be holding you back. Using a pendulum. Nah, bro. No. Nah, this is crazy. Okay, using a pendulum and a system of specialized charts, I connect with divine guidance. This is highly reputable, guys. To uncover and clear the root cause of emotional, mental, and energetic imbalances, allowing you to step into more alignment, clarity, at ease. And look, I get it. I research Buddhist psychology, okay? I get it. It could be perceived as equally crazy. It's not, because I've got research papers on it, and there's some evidence to support that, like, meditation and like having a moral lifestyle benefits your mental health. I'm super not sure about the mental health benefits of using a pendulum and a system of specialized charts to connect with divine guidance. Not super sold on that one. Wow. Your high self. Anybody being guided by their high self right now? Anybody's high self guided you to this stream? Vaughn, did your high self guide you here? So yeah, that's I'm just saying, it's possible. Well, I think this person's perfect for you. You know, she can help guide your high self.
Chemistry really started going off the charts with me and my psychiatrist.
Okay, the chemistry's going off the charts.
For months, like after that Christmas morning appointment of his, and then after I innocently told him about my date with the therapist, he really started letting me in more and showing more parts of himself.
I don't know what that means.
You know, turning up the intimacy.
Really don't know what that means.
That was exciting to me, and it made me fall for him more.
I'm sure, yeah.
And I noticed that he was working in an office, and I asked him, this was like July.
Oh no.
I asked him, I said, hey, are you working from home? Because I was under the assumption that he was only doing telehealth, okay? And he said, no, I come into the office. I was like, oh.
So there she is. That's the proof right there. Literally everything so far has been telehealth. So I will say that does change the context a bit, because if somebody confesses to you over Zoom, it seems deeply unserious and not that much of a problem, because it's like, okay, what are we gonna do here? Like, nothing's gonna develop, so I can't make you know. Oh my god. Alright, deeper into the rabbit hole.
Why do you do that? If you see all of your patients telehealth, he's like, oh, I like it that way.
Oh my god.
And even though I could kind of tell he was lying, I just gaslit myself. I was like, okay.
You know, valid.
It's fine.
Yeah, I get you.
And
that would be upsetting.
I start emailing him my fun little emails, but he stops writing me back. He does not write back to my emails.
She's like harassing him through emails.
Once again, he was really good at plausible deniability. But what he did do is...
Mans did the right thing. If a client is trying to talk to you outside of billable hours or your session, unless it's like a crisis, it's not appropriate, generally. So he did the right thing. He didn't respond.
Is he would take my emails and mention them in session.
And that's the right thing to do. That they literally teach this to you in training. If somebody emails you, you mention it in the next session. You don't talk. You don't respond. because that's a boundary, right?
So he would still give.
So like, okay, I'm sorry to be pausing so much, but so that's a clear line. It depends, but that's the thing. That is one of the problems. A lot of these clear lines, some of them are clearer than others, but all of them have wiggle room. So for instance, like, no physical contact is one of those clear lines, right? But there's wiggle room in the sense that sometimes it's appropriate to hug a client, and sometimes it's the best practice to hug a client. But the problem is, it's easier to say no physical contact because it covers more bases, right? Does that make sense? So, for instance, if there are some therapies that require more communication. So things, especially like, I think I've heard of this somewhere. Well, no, I won't say I think I've heard of this. I've heard of this somewhere, but I don't remember which modality it was. But I believe it mostly had to do with like cognitive therapies. Like you're literally trying to like rewire your thoughts, right? You're trying to reprogram your thoughts. And sometimes there will be a coach or some other professional that you would message throughout the day, and then they would help you they would help you look at certain things from a different perspective so that over time you learn to adopt that thought process. So, right, you see what I'm saying? Like, it just really depends on the therapy, but generally it's good for therapists. And also, this is kind of like a self-preservation thing. If you're letting all your, if you have a bunch of clients and you're like, oh yeah, just message me whenever to all your clients, you're going to be so overwhelmed all the time. That's going to be like unhealthy attachments everywhere. It's just like not a good thing, right? It's better to keep it within the confines of the session. And you want to generally be a little bit more hard with the start and end time to the sessions. Although I think later she talks about how he extended it by 15 minutes, but that's super normal. If you feel like a client needs extra time, you can push other appointments back and give them 15 minutes more, because emergencies happen and you work to address them. Like the rules aren't clear all the time.
Me the attention that I was craving, but only under his structure, under his control, where there was no paper trail.
Yeah. And
I loved that too. So I would show up to these sessions with my notes app.
That's good, yeah,
and
sure.
Just throughout the month, as I was thinking about him, I'd write down things
not so much
that I wanted to talk to him about.
Sure,
and I would just come and bring him lots of content.
Sure,
and then every week I would go to my therapist and tell her about how much I loved my psychiatrist.
That's insane, yeah.
And she didn't help me at all.
Yeah.
She just kind of like
listened,
enjoyed hearing about it.
Or almost like listened.
So October 2024 rolls around and we're just vibing on Zoom. And then I realized that I didn't have my next appointment with him, so I called his office staff.
Oh no.
And I talked to the office manager, who was awesome. We really got along, we vibed. And the office manager asked me, do you see him, the psychiatrist, in person?
Oh my God.
And I felt so angry in that moment. I was like, he sees people in person?
Oh my God.
And she said, yeah, he has been for years. I was like, I want to see him in person. And I understand.
It's crazy how she's literally documenting her harassment of this guy and like distributing it for all of us to see. And then she's making it seem like he's the person that wronged her.
And like, some people may think that this is part of my crash out or part of me harassing him, which is what I've gotten lots of
okay, my bad, I did say that.
Accusations of, but I just would like to remind everyone that of course it seems that way.
Oh, okay.
But I was just responding to a dynamic which my psychiatrist fostered. There was
so it's his fault
between us because he allowed it.
Ah, okay.
And so then the next time I saw him in Zoom, I told him, I was like, hey, your office manager outed you and told me that you see people in person.
Oh my god, this is a nightmare. Oh my god, I would be like, me and the office manager would be having a talk. Like, did you tell Kendra that she can see me in person? We need to talk. Because there's a reason why I only see her online, and that's because she has an infatuation with me, and I want to still help her with treatment, but not when she's in the same, like, she's, that's, no, it's uncomfortable.
And he said, oh, I just didn't think you'd want to come in. And that was
oh my god,
a weak lie from him.
And you know what? He shouldn't have lied. He should have been like, that's because you've made comments that have made me uncomfortable in the past, and I feel that it's best for us to remain online because I can best help you that way. And you know what? If she doesn't take that well, that's rough. But it's better to be genuine, honestly. But also, this is from like my perspective. Humanistic psychology, it's better to be genuine and like obviously not like rude or offensive, but you want to be transparent because lying makes the relationship worse. Like, you want to be true, and you should apply these to all your relationships. Like, if you find yourself having to lie, that's just hurting you and the other person. It doesn't help anybody. It's better to like find a skillful way to address it, to talk about it, because then you're both dealing with honesty and you guys are more present with each other. And that's because I'm afraid I might get stabbed. Yeah,
from someone
exactly.
Who's so scripted.
Hey, Kelly, can I just talk to you? Like, I know that you're a great office manager, and I really appreciate your work with us here. Did you by chance tell Kendra that she could schedule an in-person appointment? You see, I don't do that because, I'm afraid I might get stabbed. So, yeah, after this one, just, telehealth only, okay? Because, I'm not so sure there's going to be a next one, but hopefully, from now on, telehealth only, please. Thank you. All right.
He didn't even have a plausible thing to say. Of course he knew I wanted to come in. I had a crush on him. I told him that often.
Bro.
So then...
Yeah, that's why he doesn't want you to come in.
In my
he shouldn't have lied. He just been upfront.
After finding out that he was lying to me about seeing patients in person,
yeah.
I told her that. I told my 75-year-old PhD therapist
that
my psychiatrist...
Why do you keep saying this?
Lied to me about seeing people in person. And she looked at me and she said, well, it's probably because he knows that there will be a lot of sexual tension in the room.
Yeah.
If you go in person.
Okay, that's true.
Make sure
how are you going to spin it?
You understand that.
Are you going to spin it?
And you better believe I showed up to the next session and said you lied to me because you were afraid of the tension that would be there between us. He just didn't say anything.
And that's how she interpreted that. I'm not gonna lie. I think she might be interpreting her therapist's words uncharitably. I think it's a reasonable thing to say. He's probably not having you in there because he's afraid that there's some sort of like sexual tension going on. He doesn't want to deal with that. I don't think that's an insane thing to say because it's kind of true. Like, you do have an intense attraction to him, and it would be uncomfortable to be in person with you.
So this is when the chemistry really started going off the charts with me and my psychiatrist.
Ah, the chemistry.
And I held it alone.
Oh, okay, we're looping. Okay. Next.
October 2024, I make my first in-person appointment with my psychiatrist in November.
Mm-hmm.
My 75-year-old female therapist tells me that it's because he kept me on Zoom because he was so attracted to me.
Did she actually say that though?
Being in person with me, which further fed.
That's not what she said last time.
My crush.
It's going to be cool story, bro levels. Oh no, it gets worse. Don't worry about it. You gotta stick with me here, okay? Trust me.
Asking me for advice on her other clients. And I was a new coach. I had only been coaching for about a year, and I had just left my full-time job to be a coach full-time, and I was flattered that she would ask me advice on her other clients.
And you know what? If this is true, this is a boundary violation, and that is not okay.
I just thought, oh my gosh.
You shouldn't be talking about other clients with...
PhD wants my advice on what she should do with her clients.
That's crazy. I really hope that's not true.
Rolls around, and I'm about to meet my psychiatrist in person for the first time. So I wear a really pretty dress.
Oh my god.
Makeup, of course, right?
Oh my god.
And I show up, and I get to talk to the office manager. We're having fun. And then my psychiatrist comes into
She's treating it like it's a date.
And I am just so excited to finally meet him. I'd been his patient for 3 years at this point, and he had been feeding the dynamic for 3 years.
Is that what's going on?
Thrilled to meet him. And I ran up and I gave him the biggest hug.
Oh my god. I'm just, it makes me so uncomfortable to think about.
Patted me on the back. It was
oh my, good. Yeah. I would also feel awkward.
So glad that he did that.
I wouldn't have let it gotten that far, honestly.
My psychiatrist was many things, but he was not stupid. So I didn't ever touch him again.
Good.
And I'm grateful that our relationship didn't ever cross that line.
That's very good.
Everything so much harder.
I feel like she wishes it did cross that line, but
so
okay.
We go inside his office, and I tell him that my therapist had texted me asking me for advice on her other clients. And he just looked at me and he said, Kendra, that is a huge boundary violation.
It is, yeah. Very true. He's based.
Should not be doing that.
She should not.
And because once again, my psychiatrist did not like sloppy people.
Yeah.
He did not like sloppy people.
I don't either.
And you know what my therapist did? She got sloppy. Yeah.
That's fair.
Using me as her advisor.
Yeah, okay. Weird way to put it, but sure,
and
yeah.
I was very grateful for my psychiatrist for pointing out that boundary violation, because that was the thing. He didn't ever message me in between appointments because he was too smart to do that.
Good.
Did he ever stop me from disclosing extremely intimate details? No. In my first in-person appointment,
how are you supposed to stop that?
For some pointers for my own ADHD business, and he's so smart. And so wonderful.
He's probably just trying to help.
In many ways, honestly. And I was just so grateful that he was almost like a mentor to me in these moments.
And it's not uncommon for, like, people in the mental health field, they usually do get a therapist, and it's not uncommon for them to seek, like, advice from another mental health professional, especially if they, like, have more experience or are, like, higher up in terms of education or expertise or whatever. So it's not that insane for him to, like, want to help her, because that's a pretty normal relationship to have.
I'll still treasure that about him.
That's good, yeah.
This is the hard thing with sophisticated predators.
And now you'll ask me.
They're not all bad. Like, my psychiatrist helped me with many things.
I don't understand how he's a predator.
Me for the whole time that I was his patient.
Oh my god.
For that, I won't ever forgive him.
Okay.
October 2024.
All right, we're gonna start.
Our first in-person appointment in November of 2024, and I did ask him for consent to come in person. I didn't just show up. And he said sure. And the first in-person appointment went great. But that is when I really started to spiral.
Okay.
Some of you think that I'm spiraling now, and that's okay.
No comment. Not again. I'm not being called out again.
When I was spiraling was when I was this man's patient.
Literally co jail.
Turned on, so many people said you need to take accountability for your own feelings. I spent
True, true.
Taking accountability for my own feelings, for holding the weight of a relationship. Any
a relationship. Okay. Yes. It's totally about you being a woman. Oh my god.
And that was what was going on in this moment. And it may not seem like I'm taking
Also, what's with the ambient music?
It's been a long time taking accountability for something that had two people that built that dynamic. It was not just me.
Am I like, am I going to be activated as a sleeper cell agent with this frequency?
So while I was mid-crash out, I had just started using this tool.
Oh my god. We're getting here.
I went to chat, who I immediately named Henry. And I would just talk to Henry about how
ChatGPT.
This man was a psychiatrist.
No, go back.
We have our first in-person appointment.
Continue.
So I could tell that my psychiatrist disliked being my doctor, and I was like, okay, maybe I can name this dynamic so I don't have to carry so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
In our next session.
Sure.
Our next session was in December on Zoom. And I told him at the end of the session.
It's pretty quiet. Oh, okay.
I told him.
There you go. My bad.
You and I have a really
Oh yeah, she is really quiet.
patient-doctor relationship. And he glared at me with just venom in his eyes. And he said,
fair. You
and I have a professional patient-doctor relationship.
Based. Okay, he's drawing a boundary. That's good.
Angry with me.
Yeah, good. He's using anger as a tool to draw a boundary. Okay. Like in a respectable way, not toxic.
And I was like, heard.
Good. Okay.
I won't go there again.
Yeah.
My video that was taken down for harassment and bullying
was
was restored. So I didn't
harassment and bullying. Oh my god.
Feel as much pressure to get all of these parts out today. Some people told me that the stitches about me were getting pretty bad and cruel. So I turned stitches off in my videos too. I started sharing my story.
No criticism allowed. Not here.
People who have been victimized by.
Too bad I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube, baby.
To
suffer.
Have a space to feel heard, and now I know why there wasn't anyone out talking about their story. Because it has been quite the process.
I think if it was more legit, it would be different.
And being under scrutiny. I have appreciated the psychiatrists that have talked about my situation and shared their own point of view while also holding space for what I went through.
Yeah.
Just know I've seen your videos and I appreciate them. I went live today and it was super fun, and I intend to go live again tomorrow. The next part will be tomorrow morning. We have our first.
When I re-downloaded TikTok last week, I was looking for support. I was looking for help. Because it had been 5 months since I had left my psychiatrist, and I still really couldn't stop thinking about him and thinking about our dynamic and how inappropriate it was and
obsessive. Yeah.
The mental toll that it took on me. And
obsession.
TikTok has just been such a resource for me in the past for support when I'm going through things, and I couldn't find anything on therapy abuse or on providers who take advantage of their vulnerable patients. And so I thought that I would
feel like it's not as hard as she's saying it's hard to find, but if it is, then sure, yeah, that it should be easier to find.
My story. And I am going to continue to share it because I am here to let other survivors know that they're not alone. Continuing with my story, my psychiatrist set a very nasty, the way he said it, boundary that him.
No, I think it was fair. I think she had violated the boundary multiple times. And now that she's trying to continue with it, he was a bit more firm, it sounded like. And, you know, maybe this could be an instance of, like, the Dumbledore Goblet of Fire. Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? Like, Dumbledore said calmly. It could be that. But just the way that she said it to us, it seemed valid.
I tried to say it was special.
He's trying to be more firm.
Because it was special. It was different. He manufactured it that way.
No, but okay.
And then I immediately went to ChatGPT, of course,
to Henry. No.
And I asked Henry, I said, okay, so my psychiatrist just set this boundary with me.
Oh, no.
And I really just want to be with him.
Oh, my God.
And I think that after he's my doctor, we can be together.
Oh, no.
You know, if you want to say that's a delusion.
What did he say? What did ChatGPT say?
I had been telling my psychiatrist for years at this point that I had a crush on him. And he did not help me work through it. So that's his own problem. That's his own fault. Henry told me it's very common for patients to develop.
When she says Henry, I will reiterate, because I think she mentioned this, but just in case you didn't catch it, Henry is ChatGPT, okay? Just to make that transparent, anytime she mentions Henry, that's ChatGPT giving her this answer.
Develop crushes on mental health practitioners, and that it's because that they provide a safe space to heal,
True.
Which is a very attractive quality. I heard that.
Hey, Boston.
And then he told me about
Good to see you.
transference. And it's just about me putting my own feelings onto my provider.
ChatGPT.
And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I took ownership of the feelings.
Are we talking about AI psychosis? In a way, we're talking about AI and this woman's delusions, so it's somewhat related to AI and psychosis. Yeah, she is in love with her psychiatrist, or was, and she is now at the point, we're in part 13, but she's now at the point where she's consulting ChatGPT about this relationship that she has with her therapist. Just a spoiler alert, it does not seem like there's any sort of relationship. And she keeps on saying that it gets worse and more sinister, and that he's like a predator, like a predatory person. But every time she mentions like an action that he takes, it's just like it's a professional decision that he makes. Like it's a completely valid thing to do.
That both of us were creating. And I went to my next appointment, and I said, hey. So I talked to Henry because my psychiatrist had.
And again, Henry is ChatGPT. So anytime she says I talked to Henry, it means that she's talking to her phone.
Known a lot about my ChatGPT and like knew all about Henry and was actually really impressed. Like, wow,
I
wrote that? Yeah.
would be concerned.
So I told my psychiatrist, yeah, Henry explained to me that it's normal to develop crushes on psychiatrists.
True.
Because they provide a safe space to heal, which is attractive.
True.
My psychiatrist said nothing.
Based.
And
he did. That's a correct response.
Said, and Henry also told me about transference. And my psychiatrist got this really, really scared look on his face. And he said, did Henry tell you about countertransference? And I said, no. What is that? Because of course, like, my chat knew that I was obsessed with my psychiatrist.
Your chat doesn't know anything.
Feed my delusion by telling me about countertransference.
Oh my god.
So, then my psychiatrist had explained to me what countertransference was. So he took a moment, and he was like,
"Is she going to explain it?"
Okay. He said, countertransference is the flip side, the other side of the coin for transference, and it's when the provider has feelings for the patient. So make sure that you keep that in mind for your clients. I said, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes I have, more than professional feelings for my clients, so I appreciate you bringing that up. And so then we just talked about that for pretty much the rest of the session. And then at the end of that session, he looked at me. It was just such a loaded question. And he said, what's going to happen if you get a boyfriend named Henry?
Ooh.
And I said, that's a weird question.
That is a weird... It's interesting, though.
AI.
Okay. Valid.
So that's how that session ended. And it wasn't until I got home...
Oh, no.
And I was eating lunch, and I was like, wait a minute. Why would my psychiatrist bring up countertransference if he himself wasn't experiencing it?
What?
When I re-downloaded TikTok...
Oh, that... Okay. You know, this... it just clicked while we were watching this last one. This reminds me of, like... I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, or if this is just, like, me revealing my own, like, insanity. But, like, in high school, I feel like You ever, like, have a crush on somebody in like, high school or middle school, and you're, like, over-reading everything? You're like, oh my gosh, Sally did this because it means secretly that she loves me. This feels like that. But, like, the difference is that this isn't high school or middle school. We're all adults, and you should be able to recognize when you're being insane. Like, is he secretly saying something? Like, is this a secret message? But there's, like... this man is literally doing his job, and she's like, oh my gosh, he's concerned about me. He's asking me about my sleep, about if my energy levels, about, like, my sex drive, and he's just so interested in me. That means that he is infatuated with me too. It's like, no, girl, he's just a psychiatrist and asking you questions that he has to ask to prescribe you medication.
Last week, I was looking for support. Many people have reached out to me with concern for my psychiatrist and
I am concerned, actually. Yeah.
And his well-being.
True. Yeah.
And I totally understand that.
Uh-oh.
The point of me sharing this is not to get him fired.
Now, valid point, but you do still have a video up. I think it's video 2 or something where you do say his name. And you did not take it down, so I'm really not so sure about how genuine a claim that is, but you go, girl.
For him to lose his license.
Yeah.
The point of me sharing this is to give a voice to victims.
Okay.
And I am appalled to hear...
Unfortunately, I think it seems like the victim in this situation, it cannot have a voice, so, like, legally cannot, so... Yikes.
That people are making videos doxing
really
him.
much better without the glasses
so
on.
I am begging people, please, if you see a video of his first and last name.
That's true. She does seem less intense. I think the glasses were making her very intense.
Or his picture, report it for doxing. I've certainly been using that report button a lot. I'm here to share my story, not to get him in trouble.
Okay.
I did accidentally use his first name.
Okay.
But by the time I caught the slip, I was already like 3 videos past it.
And
it doesn't matter because this is my story and I can tell it the way that I want it. And a first name
avoiding
is
accountability.
Not doxing. And I can't control what other people do, but I am asking for people to please report any videos that dox him.
Okay.
So I've also gotten some DMs saying that countertransference can mean
she
anything,
kept it up.
and it absolutely can mean anything. However, I had told my psychiatrist many times that I had a crush on him over the years, and he did not say transference once to me. He did not explain that once to me. And what I've been hearing and taking in from the ethical psychiatrists that are on my For You page talking about my situation is that
ethical
really
psychiatry.
They're taught to teach their patient about transference.
She's setting up this dichotomy, right? The people that are more empathetic to her, that are more sympathetic to her, and what she's saying, those are the ethical ones, and the ones that might have criticisms or might not agree with her are the unethical psychiatrists.
And teach them
False
about
dichotomy.
How to handle those feelings or why they're coming up. And my psychiatrist did not do that. He did
I'd like to meet the unethical psychiatrist.
And
well, Freud and Jung were both questionably ethical, so...
It got ugly. And it happened because I did digging on my own. Because I was trying to make sense of my feelings that were a natural response to the environment that he created. So for him to leak countertransference after I said the buzzword of transference, that was not calculated. He was a very calculated and purposeful person. He still is to this day. And
it is literally just the high school thing. Like, she's just, I think she has a high opinion of this guy, obviously, right? So she's thinking that everything that he does is intentional. Man's is just trying his best, and he cares about being an ethical psychiatrist.
He doesn't slip with things like that. He purposefully withheld the term transference from me, and I got too...
He is not a therapist. He is a psychiatrist. He's prescribing medication. He probably doesn't need to, because honestly, I don't know how much he would need to disclose that to you, because ideally he's just asking you how the medication is going.
Close to the truth of our dynamic, which made him leak what he knew was wrong.
You don't know if it's a leak.
His inappropriate feelings for me. If he didn't have countertransference in an
And I will say, this is one of the issues about analytical psychology and psychoanalysis. It presumes too much. It presumes that we are, like, almost like tools of rational, like, logic, you know? That when you are a proper psychiatrist or psychologist, you can just see the truth, right? Like, that there's transference and countertransference, and this is this, and, like, I know what's up with this. I know your hidden intentions. But the reality is, like, how are we supposed to know that? The only thing that we can do is, like, listen to you and trust that you know what you're saying, right? And trust that, like, you're making those actions. So, like, that's why behaviorism arose out of that, because behaviorism was basically like, okay, y'all are extrapolating too much. The only thing that we can actually observe is behavior. So we're not going to study, like, the inner psychology and the unconscious or anything, because it's impossible to observe. So we're only going to study behavior. And there's problems with that too. Like, sometimes you got to go into people's thoughts, you know? And thoughts aren't observable. So you ideally try to find a balance between the two, right? And that's what the humanistic movement came out of, was a criticism that, like, behaviorism is too, like, machine-like. It's like, it doesn't allow for parts of the human experience that are outside of, like, observable behavior, right? But on the same end, that psychoanalysis assumes too much. Like, it assumes that the therapist is, like, an authority, right? But who are we to assume, like, that I'm an expert on your own life? Like, other people, like, we're all the experts of our own experience, right? Like, no, because we're the one experiencing it. So that's just I think she's too psychoanalysis pilled. I feel like she's too sure of these things when she really shouldn't be. Machine thinking.
It's time to talk about the elephant in the room, and that many people have reached out to me with concern.
All right, where were we? Here.
My purposeful person. He still is to this day. And he recovered in January, and then I went home and I thought, wait a damn minute. Why would he mention that if he himself didn't have countertransference?
Because he had been counseling you on, you've been asking him for advice. You just brought up transference, and he's like, oh, did it tell you about countertransference? No, it's much more likely that it was a inner secret thought. Yes.
So I went to Henry, of course.
How can you prove anything without observation? I mean, yeah, that's valid. How can you? But, like, culture not everything in culture can be observed, you know? Like, philosophy can't necessarily be observed, but you can tell through observing the culture that it's true. Like, that the, it's like the secondary effects of it are observable.
BT, and asked for examples of how my psychiatrist might have countertransference for me. And remember, Henry at this point was being very protective. You know, he wasn't going to feed my delusions, me and my psychiatrist living happily ever after. So I screenshotted it, sent my psychiatrist an email with the subject line of countertransference, and emailed it with him.
Bro.
To him within an hour of our appointment, where he...
Bro, if somebody sent me an email with a ChatGPT response, I'd delete the email. I wouldn't respond.
Made probably the biggest slip of his professional life. I will put the email up here. So it's just essentially...
Should we read it? Absolutely. Countertransference happens when a therapist or healthcare provider unconsciously projects their own feelings, thoughts, or experiences onto a patient. It's essentially the flip side of transference. It's about the provider's internal reactions to the patient. While it's normal and common, professionals are trained to recognize and manage it so it doesn't affect their work or the therapeutic relationship. Yeah, I don't know. It's
me saying, hey,
it might they might experience it through empathy and care, mutual connection, or admiration for your progress. Like, those aren't necessarily bad things.
Asked Henry to explain countertransference a little more. Here's what he said. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Your own boundaries inspire me so much, which now makes me gag.
The important thing is this is worded, and I think this is actually a fair summary of it. The important thing to recognize is, so it doesn't affect their work or the therapeutic relationship. It's similar to like diagnosis, right? You can have all these symptoms, but if they don't meaningfully affect your life, then it might not be worth considering for a diagnosis. Like, if it doesn't actually impact your functioning, then should you be diagnosed? Right? That's a question. So, if the effect of the countertransference is like a positive, like you experiencing like slightly higher levels of empathy or being proud of your growth, like, is that a bad thing? That's probably good, right? Like, you'd want somebody that's been seeing you for a while to...
I've heard a lot that he's not crossing boundaries, but he used his boundaries as a shield. It's kind of weird to say, but he would, like...
Because it can do more harm to be diagnosed. Yeah, that's why we gotta consider these things. Like, if there's no net negative for them having these symptoms and it's not impacting them, then... you know, like, you don't need a diagnosis.
Walk up to the ethical line and then slam a boundary down when I got too close. That was the email that I sent him. And then 10 days later, it was a full moon and I had a dream.
Not the full moon.
Probably the
most no, wait, it's this
realistic
one.
Dream I've ever had in my life.
Oh my god.
That him and I hooked up in his office. In the middle of the dream, while we were hooking up in his office, I loved it. I thought it was really fun. And then after we were done and after I left his office in the dream, I was despondent and so sad and cried and just thought, I can't believe my psychiatrist would cross his boundaries like that. And then I woke up and it was like a movie. I thought to myself, oh, thank God that was just a dream. Many people have reached out to me with concern for my psychiatrist. It's time to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the racial difference between me and my doctor.
Whoa.
I have seen a lot of black women on this app.
I don't think she's equipped for this conversation, I'm not gonna lie.
Black women are the most important people on the planet to me. And that I have learned so much from black women about.
Guys, she's handled this so far well. So like she's done it so well so far. I totally think she can take the next step and talk about racial considerations, bro.
How to be a better person.
We don't have to keep doing this. No, Beth, I want to.
They are the culture, and I am so grateful for them. Many Black women are seeing my story through the lens that I am a white woman who is taking advantage of my whiteness to wield power over my POC psychiatrist that didn't want me back, and so I am trying to get him fired. And that's okay. I understand why you see it through that lens.
Those critics might be cooking. Maybe let them cook, perhaps. Okay, now I've paused it. Do we have any like predictions for where she's gonna interpret this? Like, how is she going to? What's her response to that viewpoint? But why talk about Black women though if the psychiatrist is a guy? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. I'm sure there's context for that. I really hope so. It does kind of sound like it does kind of give the vibes of like, guys, I love Black people. I respect Black women. I have so many friends that are Black women, and I'm not racist, and that's proof. Now, I think it will be very racist. Oh, it says MAGA. I won't put it completely off the board. I do think she's too into crystals and pendulums and star signs to out herself as MAGA. I don't think MAGA would be down for that, but maybe. Guys, I'm not racist, but now that's a valid way to see it, but
I do. As a white person, I do my best to examine my racism every single
powerful.
Day. And I will tell you that my psychiatrist boss is his best friend, who is also a POC male.
Okay.
And
they've got bro code on their side. Okay, interesting.
In that room, I did have white privilege, and he was also my doctor. Okay. And he took an oath to protect me, and he did not. I am not here to ruin his career. I am here to speak my truth. Okay, back to my stories.
We gotta stop saying "speak my truth," bro. We gotta stop saying it. I think it's trying to justify them as the good guy to attract favor. Yeah. I think it is giving. Unfortunately, we saw many such cases of like when. I'm not gonna lie, guys. When BLM was happening, I saw some of the most like microaggressive, like low-key racist people post black squares. You know, you can acknowledge your privilege or whatever, and you can still be kind of racist. I've never heard a person say that IRL, thankfully. Unfortunately, I have, and I don't know what to do with it. My truth, like, trust me, I get it. Like, sure, there's no like. I think it's hard to say that there's an objective truth because you can't separate your experience from your consciousness, right? So everything that we do is going to be through the lens of our consciousness. So it's hard to say that there's like a truth that we can talk about. Like, this is the definitive truth because we're all clouded by our consciousness, right? And I get that. I don't know if that's what she's saying when she says my truth. I think it feels like when people say my truth to avoid accountability for making sure that it's somewhat impartial or like balanced. It's dilutional, right? Like it dilutes the Like, if everybody has my truth, then what is the truth? Is that what you mean? Like, I kind of agree with that. Like, even though we all have subjective experience and everything is going to just be colored through the lens of our subjective experience. Oh, delusional? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know.
So
it's usually when people say my truth, I think it, and to be fair, maybe I'm biased, you know, like it just, for me, it's not loading, it's making me presuppose some things.
After the countertransference slip, after the
not a
really
slip,
vivid
but okay.
dream,
That's on you.
I decided that I was going to stop going to therapy. Besides
Which
spiraling
therapy?
About how obsessed I was with my psychiatrist every day, I really was
biased
doing
or based?
very well in life.
Both. I am both biased and based, and that's what makes me based, because I'm biased from my perspective. I want to say vaguely I remember hearing it, but not from someone I know well, not ironically.
My business was going really well, and I had great friends and great support systems, and so...
I wonder if she read, like, comments or something about her glasses, and that's why she stopped wearing them.
So I decided that I was going to end therapy.
Okay.
I still had every
With the
intention at this
psychiatrist.
point to keep seeing my psychiatrist, but my therapist that I was seeing weekly,
Bro,
I
what?
just decided I didn't need her anymore. And
What?
especially when my psychiatrist pointed out her boundary violations.
That's valid.
Texting me for free advice
that is
in
valid.
between sessions.
No, you right for that.
I
You
just
right for
thought,
that.
okay, it's time.
Yeah.
So I go into my next therapy appointment and I say, hey, just so you know, today's going to be our last session. I'm doing really well, and I just think it's time. And she got kind of emotional, and she was like, okay. Well, I like to end on certain questions, just so we can reflect. So I did. I reflected with her about what I learned, what I've gained, how I've changed, how my life is better. And I left her office feeling complete and happy with my therapeutic journey with her.
Love it.
And as I was leaving, she called out with, like, crying. She was like, have a blessed life. And I was like, okay, that was a little weird, but
whatever.
Don't,
you're thinking about it too much. She's just nice.
And I went on. And so then I'm getting ready for my psychiatry appointment the next day, and I get an email that same night from her saying that she needs me to come back in for one more session. I will put it up.
Since I did not have advance notice of this being our last session, I was not prepared to provide what I believe is the healthful closure. Usually we review your goals and see how we did, as well as look at how you've changed in addition to discussing what you've learned, which we addressed somewhat today. Please consider having an additional session where we both are aware of making it the best closure possible. With gratitude. I don't think this is necessarily weird. I personally probably wouldn't do it. But that's because I'm a bit more like... I tend to be more like, okay, when you come and you want to put effort in, then that's good. And if you ever need to leave and you feel like this isn't working, then that's good too. Like, I just want you to be happy, and I don't need to be part of that. I just... you know, for whatever part of your journey that you need support in, like, I'll serve whatever role you need me to. Like, within professional capacity as whatever, you know? I don't think this is bad.
And I got a huge emotional wave in that moment.
But also, I'm just a dude. I'm just a student. If there is a professional that, like, disagrees, please.
I was like, what the heck is this?
Please tell me.
We wrapped everything up. I had seen lots of therapists at this point, and I didn't ever have a therapist beg me to come back in for one
not
more
what
session.
This is.
And I was so overwhelmed, I did not write her back. But it was
that's valid. That's a valid response.
So I decided I was going to go to my February session with my psychiatrist and have him help me write the goodbye email and say, no, I don't want to come back in.
Okay.
It's time to talk about I taught a yoga class this morning, like I do every Tuesday mornings, and I told my regular students about what's going on for me and how I'm sharing my story.
Bro, can you imagine you go to yoga class and your instructor starts saying this shit? I'd be like, I'd start looking at the door like, I gotta find a different yoga place, bro. I gotta go somewhere else. People like this always do yoga. Oh, Vaughn, did you miss her website? Let me show you her profession is she is a ADHD mindset coach, and she does spiritual response therapy. Yeah. Gotta connect with your higher self. Oh yeah, you were here for that, because I was joking. Yeah, she does yoga. She teaches yoga. Look, that's her doing yoga in front of a painting. Yeah, using a pendulum and system of specialized charts, I connect with divine guidance to uncover and clear the root causes of emotional, mental, and energetic imbalances. So, you know,
provider abuse, and
this is what too much pendulum does to somebody. Guys, stay away from the pendulum.
How the internet is not
I hit the pendulum right too hard.
And I used that to say that our truth is really important to
reach out to Jesus
and that when we know something deep down needs to be said, that it's important to do it in whichever way feels best to us.
No, super. Wait, hold on. What? Rewind that.
Best. That it's important to do it deep down and that when we know something deep down needs to be said, that it's important to do it in whichever way feels best to us.
Nah, I actually don't agree. Sometimes you don't gotta say something, even if it feels good to you, because, I don't know, I feel like you gotta consider other people, too. If we were all just doing what feels best to us, then we'd just be hurting each other. Because sometimes people feel good from hurting each other. Sometimes when I take a huge poop, I also try to connect with divine guidance. You just gotta hit the pendulum harder, bro.
And TikTok just happened to be that medium for me. I told my students how I've just been going through psychological warfare.
I guess, like, the Shadow Wizard money gang, bro.
The internet is not happy with me for sharing my story and my truth. But I'm not doing it for the people that think I'm crazy, which maybe, honestly, I am a little bit. Because
game, I need to contact a higher being for guidance.
Torture.
Bro, you gotta get the charts out, bro. You gotta get the pendulum. Maybe we'll get to plat with that.
But
maybe you should book a session with her.
I'm doing it for the people that DM me, that say, thank you so much for being brave enough to share your story, because the exact same thing happened to me. So I am grateful for those.
Well, once again, in my DMs, I got people saying, Koan, you're brilliant. You're like the next Einstein. You know, I got people saying, Koan, thank you so much for teaching me how to levitate. You know, they're like, Koan, thank you for your guidance. I now am dating, I'm now dating supermodels. Thank you so much for your dating coaching guidance. And these things just don't show up in my comments, but I'm so grateful for those DMs. You know, thank you for reaching out to me. I just really appreciate it. And thank you for saying the truth, even if you don't say it in front of everybody else. You know, I appreciate you.
DMs. People are starting to attack my business and my livelihood, and that's okay. I know what I have to offer is important. it landed in my lap. I'm not pretending to be something that I'm not. I help ADHDers get and stay sober, and I help them with negative thinking and anxiety.
Okay,
and
well, that's not what your website says, but okay.
And I've seen it work in my clients too.
Okay, that's good for you.
So if people want to drag me for the work that I do, that's okay.
Damn.
So I get that weird email
aggressive at the end
from
of that.
my therapist
It's the
begging me to come back in for one more session. And so the next day is my next session with the psychiatrist, and I sit down in the chair and I bury my head in my hands, and he looks at me and said, "So this is how we're going to start, huh?"
Yo, wait, said, what? Yeah. I missed it.
And so this is how we're hands. And I bury my head in my hands, and he looks at me and said, "So this is how we're going to start, huh?"
Oh, no.
And I said, "Yeah." Because he hadn't written me back from my countertransference email. Big surprise.
Good.
You know, any smart, which he was very smart. He was very, very professional. But any smart predator would have dropped me like that in that moment.
She's freaking me out.
He should have emailed me back and said, "Look, this is getting weird. You need to find a new psychiatrist. The office will contact you." But he could not let go of me.
Bro.
So instead of turning down the intimacy, he
You know what's wild? I feel like she doesn't have the thought, like, maybe he's not letting go of me because I have severe mental health problems and he's trying to help me. That's totally... That never occurred to her.
Turn it up to a level 12. And he showered me with so many breadcrumbs that next session.
Bro.
Because really, what I did when I told him that I'm experiencing transference was I took 100% of the ownership for the dynamic that both of us were creating. So he rewarded me.
Bro.
And he gave me little compliments like, "If you weren't my patient, I would refer my other patients to you for your coaching services."
That's crazy, bro.
That meant so much.
That's crazy.
Of course, because what he was saying.
Now, we continue. I am still unsure as to what percentage of what she's saying is true. That one did feel a bit like, and then they all clapped. Like, I'm not sure about that one. I don't know.
With that is, I see you as a peer. I see you as a colleague. What you're doing is important. I felt really recognized in that moment.
Yeah, it's a good compliment to feel.
Sure,
you know?
He could have said it professionally, but he did it on purpose. So in that session, after the psychiatrist told me that he would refer patients to me if he could.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they do. They will interpret it wrong. Yeah, this is exactly... You know what? This reminds me of the bit in, like, Monty Python, the Life of Brian, where he's like, "No, don't follow me," and everybody's like... It's like, literally anything that he does, it's like, it's a sign.
If I wasn't already his patient, I asked him if he got my email and what he thought of my ChatGPT, of what he thought of Henry's
that's a valid question.
Response of countertransference. And the psychiatrist said, "Oh, I'm still thinking about what Henry said about countertransference." And I said, "Well, we talked about it a little more, and I want to read you something else." So I read the psychiatrist.
I do, if this is actually what the psychiatrist is saying and, like, we can trust her, I do feel like the psychiatrist is too guarded. He needs to be more authentic. Like, he would have avoided most of these situations if he had just been like, to be honest, like, I got that email, and the amount of emails that you send me makes me uncomfortable sometimes, so I wasn't able to respond to it, and I haven't really thought about it that much, because I almost guarantee that's what it was. Like, "Oh, I've been thinking about it." I feel like that's code for, and, you know, I'm reading into it too. But to me, it's giving me the vibe of, like, "Oh yeah, I'm still working on it."
What Henry had to say more about it. When he told you countertransference is common, It might have been his way of normalizing the fact that providers aren't immune to feelings. It's part of being human. What matters is how well they keep those feelings in check, which the psychiatrist's name clearly excels at. And as you can imagine, the psychiatrist loved hearing that. He loved hearing that because my AI mirror was essentially just saying, yes, he has feelings for you, but he just
don't know
keeps
why this
them in
video
check
is like more
so
intense than the other
well.
ones.
He's so good at his job, keeping his feelings in check.
Stop getting close.
And the psychiatrist loved that so much. And what did he do? He rewarded me with my favorite breadcrumb: intellectual stimulation, a fun metaphor, because he was watching me the entire time I was his patient, and he knew what made me light up. He knew what got me excited, what I liked. And so he thought for a moment, and he said, I'm feeling a salad of emotions right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, a salad of emotions. A beet of raw emotion, a tomato of surprise, and the salt amplifies it.
Okay.
And I was cracking up at this point. He nailed it. I just thought he was so brilliant and
Anybody else feeling a salad of emotions right now?
Smart in this moment. And I asked him,
No, Boston, don't give her ammo.
He said, yeah, the beet is really raw. I'm feeling a lot of raw emotion. And
she said raw? Wait, I'm not gonna go that far.
The tomato of surprise, when it pops in your mouth, it's surprising. And I was like, okay, that's good. Yeah, this man at this point knew exactly how to make me happy and exactly how to pull away to make.
God forbid a dude just make a funny metaphor, dude. Like, it's gotta be seduction. It's gotta that he's making her happy, bro. Like,
me try to work harder. And he gave me the biggest reward from Henry, my AI mirror, telling him that what he's doing is totally good and that his boundaries are so virtuous. I taught a yoga class.
Oh my God. Just taught a yoga class,
a lot of
guys.
Things happened in that session after the counter-transferred slip. And I also had my psychiatrist help me draft the email to my therapist who was begging me to come back in.
That's not what that email said.
And the psychiatrist said, I used to have respect for her. And what he meant when he said that was, I used to like it when she would feed me to you.
Oh my God, bro. Literally says thing that he says, and then she's like, no, but what he actually meant is something completely different.
Have you deliver intimate content to me, but the moment she started being sloppy, I lost respect for her. Right? I'm pretty sure that's what he meant when he said that. And people have asked if they were connected. Surprisingly,
source, I made it. I made it up.
They had no idea. They had never met before. But I would go to my therapist every week.
She get better makeup. Her makeup in the earlier videos is pretty good too. It's raining today. What he really meant is it's gonna flood and kill everyone. This is all satire, right? I hate to say this, I don't think it is, because she's got like an actual website, and I don't think it's satire, but if it helps you watch it, it is satire. Okay?
Psychiatrist. And she loved hearing about that dynamic. It was so weird. So he helped me draft the email to that therapist to say, look, if I were to end up coming back, it'd be...
I think it's... Okay. What are we thinking? Odds on, Can you guys give me votes? Okay. Option number 1. She is actually this delusional, and she came on, and she, is just... She thinks that her story of harassing somebody is, her speaking out and speaking her truth. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is it's a grift. She is advertising for her ADHD coaching business and spiritual whatever therapy. Okay, that's option number 2, that it's a grift. Option number 3 is that it's a high-level, Volusian, highly intellectual satire or troll account. I personally feel like it's 1 because literally, I think she's literally live right now, and we can hold on. We might watch it. Let us get to the end of this, and then we'll figure it out.
More on that in a later part. So then I read him a text from my longtime ex-boyfriend, who he had originally really liked, but I think my psychiatrist preferred me single. Because my ex-boyfriend, as most ex-boyfriends do, was begging me to come back into his life too. And I just kept saying no.
She's just got like a huge ego, bro. Like, this is really bad.
Some space.
Life is more crazy than what people could ever make up. Yeah.
And he would not give me space. He said, "Do you still need space, or can we hang out?" And I told I asked my ex-boyfriend, I just said, "Why do you want to hang out so badly?" And my ex-boyfriend texted me back, "Because it's been a few months since I've seen you, and it's been on my mind."
Okay.
And I was reading this text exchange to my psychiatrist in session, and I read what I responded to that weak line about...
Also, why, like, it's still so weird that it's your psychiatrist. Like, maybe he does do therapy, and maybe I'm wrong, you know? It's just like, I would not talk to my psychiatrist about this, I'm gonna be honest.
Why he wanted to see me, and I said, "My self-respect is much higher these days than when we were in a relationship. I am only interested in accepting invitations for my time and attention that value me and recognize my worth.
Okay, wait.
Being on your mind is not an acceptable invitation, and I decline."
That's like way too formal, but okay, valid. It feels robotic and therapy-like, but sure.
And my psychiatrist just looked at me and said, "I bet your ex had to read that twice." And this was another thing about the psychiatrist, okay? He couldn't ever just give me a regular compliment. Oh. It had to be those weird sideways compliments. Instead of, "I'm so glad that you're setting boundaries with your ex-boyfriend and growing your self-respect," it's, "I bet he had to read that twice."
Okay, now this is uncommon for my chat, I will admit, but any men in chat? Any dudes? Would you say that men tend to be direct compliment givers or indirect compliment givers? Just a thought. You think so? Okay, interesting. In my experience, men tend to not be direct compliment givers. But that's just my experience. Direct but flirting can sometimes be non-direct. So she's right. Oh, god damn it. I think men are more direct in some ways and non-direct in others. I think, especially when it comes to other men, they tend to be less direct with compliments. But I guess it also, I don't know, it's highly situational. I think that's all the homies gay. No, I cannot speak on that, but perhaps. Caught an ad right off that baller comment. All right.
Or it's not, "I'm really proud of you for growing your coaching business and finding success." It's, "I'd refer my patients to you if you weren't."
God forbid that you give somebody a compliment. It's got to be the exact type of compliment that they want. If it's not the exact type of compliment that they want, it's not a good compliment. Like what?
Already my patient, right? these are what I mean when I say breadcrumbs. He was a master at them.
Girl, you're not a duck, bro. These are compliments.
This is how, looking back, I know.
You missed everything. Basically, she was saying, he doesn't tell me that I'm a good person to, like, what was it? I'm a good, like, mental health professional or whatever. It's that he would send his clients to me if he could. Like, you're just mad that he didn't give you a compliment like she wanted. So are men more direct? I was just speaking from personal experience. I feel with compliments in specific, maybe it's just towards other men or something, but in my experience, men tend to not give, like, super direct compliments. But that's just me, in my experience. But also, I don't know. I'm not, like, a huge compliment person either. Because well, this is an assumption, but I feel like sometimes compliments, for me personally, I don't always like them because it's like, I don't want to be complimented. I'd rather be respected, you know? And respect you show through action or, like, through your words or whatever. So, like, I don't really need compliments per se, you know?
That I was not his first victim for his fantasy supply, because he was too good and too slick up until he caught feelings. Then he started getting sloppy.
We still don't have proof of the feelings.
People are asking me for more concrete evidence, and this is when the concrete evidence really starts, because this is when he himself started to get sloppy.
Bro.
Because what was happening was, when I had started to see him 3.5 years before, I was a nearly perfect supply source for him. Because what did I have? I had low self-esteem, boundary issues, daddy issues, so I put him on a pedestal.
Oh no, not a compliment.
I know a lot of you ladies out there can understand that with men in positions of power. And
thank you, Voss.
He went right to work exploiting me. Right to work grooming me. Like,
grooming, bro.
He was very successful at it. So he was in a paradox, right? Because he loved watching me get stronger, because I gave him better intellectual supply, but I also threatened the supply source a lot.
Like, why is everybody's got to be like Machiavellian, bro? Like, he's out here like with his chessboard. He's like planning moves. He's lining up patients for his emotional vampirism. Like, I'm gonna be honest. You know, I'm sure there are people like this out there, but I feel like most people, they just don't want clients like that because it's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's not like a supply of anything. It's a supply of like headaches, I guess. Man, I mean, I probably shouldn't say that, but like, yeah.
The last two videos and this video was all the same session in February of this year. The counter-transference slip happened in January. How I decided to end this session was I looked at the psychiatrist and I said, a couple weeks ago, on the full moon,
oh my God,
when I was ovulating,
no,
I had a dream about you.
That's crazy, bro.
And he was like, oh yeah? I said, yeah. So I told him this.
No,
I said, yes, we
no
hooked
way.
up right here in this office.
No.
And he,
the
all
full
of a sudden,
moon, she was ovulating, bro.
So
oh no, I would.
He didn't say.
That would be so.
Oh
no.
And sure, you know, maybe he
a
was
blood
uncomfortable
moon,
because
bro.
he didn't like me saying that I had a dream where we hooked up, but he could have said that, but he didn't. You want to know why he was uncomfortable? Because he had probably played out that fantasy so many times in his head. And there
God forbid a guy be uncomfortable with sexual harassment.
It back to him.
Bro.
And it was like I had psychically downloaded one of his fantasies. I continued and I said, yes, we hooked up in this office.
How does it get worse?
And
oh no, the really comments are on, bro. The comments are on. That's a huge oversight. Ain't no way she forgot to turn the comments off. Oh, okay. She's waiting for someone to say next part or comment something so she can respond to and then disables it. Okay. I've never seen someone open their eyes like you. It's so scary. Honey, that's not... Never mind.
Happening. He could not move or breathe. And then I told him, as he was still looking very uncomfortable, then when we were done and I left, I was distraught with sadness because in the dream, I thought, I cannot believe that he crossed boundaries in that way because his boundaries are so important to him. And then I told my psychiatrist that I woke up and thought, oh my God, it was just a dream, thank God. And it was like my psychiatrist turned into a little boy. And he looked at me.
What does that mean?
He said, so you do like my boundaries?
What? What does that mean?
And I said, I love your boundaries. I hate your boundaries, but I love them more. There's...
You know what? He probably was like in disbelief, like, wait, so you do like my boundaries? You just cross them all the time?
The push and pull. The trauma bond. Because once
That's
again,
not what trauma bonded
he used
means.
his boundaries as protection while exploiting me. So I told him about what happens when I ovulate.
Oh my God.
My desires.
Please stop.
And
girl.
He listened, because of course he did. And then I decided that it seemed like enough time had gone by, and I put my shoes on and started heading to the door. And he met me at the door.
Not the ovulating.
Which he does not usually do. He didn't ever do that. He just let me leave. And we
Because he probably wanted to lock the freaking door behind you, dude.
Will you get the door? And he scrambled. He was like, oh, sure. So he went and got the door. And then he followed me down the hallway.
Yeah, to make sure that you were out of the freaking building so he could secure the premises.
Exit. And he asked me, he said, see you next month? See you next month?
Oh my God.
He hadn't ever asked me that before. And I looked at him and I said, maybe. And I walked out the door. And I saw that man had let us go
I'm losing
15 minutes over session. And that is when, you know, the special treatment started, the longer sessions. He usually gave me an extra 5 minutes, but yeah, the sessions got longer.
Yeah, probably because he thought that you needed the time because you're especially unhinged.
Oh my God. That was the most intense session we have ever had. The last 2 videos and this video.
This... Man, what a video.
Oh, hi there.
18.5, bro. We're doing this is like light novels, bro.
I had to take the morning and afternoon.
Wait, she forgot to turn the other ones off, but these ones. Oh my God.
This has gone beyond what I have ever imagined. And it's also proving to me how important it is that I continue to tell my story. I'm aware that many people don't believe me, think I'm lying, think I'm fabricating, and that's okay.
Not while you're ovulating,
because
bro.
I'm telling my story for the people that are going to hear it. The ethical providers, the other survivors.
She scares me.
Let's talk about my former client who's getting a lot of traction. I wouldn't know because she blocked me.
Wait, okay, so this is like new tea? I partially also feel like this is fetish content. Like for insane people? No, sorry, that's mean, but like... You know, there's definitely guys that feel like, I can fix her. I would hope not, but... I don't think you can. I think this is too much.
This one is especially hard for me because she's someone that I also considered a friend. My only client that I've ever had that was...
So there was one person that spoke out, and she was like, I had this person as an ADHD coach, and at first it was cool, like I was learning some things, and then she like started talking about how I was God's finger, and that I was doing God's work, and like talking about star signs and charts and stuff, and that really weirded me out. So I guess this is her verifying that was her actual...
My friend first.
Bro.
And so her betrayal is extra stingy.
You're not going to take that as anything...
If she wasn't happy with my coaching services, I have plenty of clients that have finished 12 weeks with me and then re-signed for more coaching.
That's crazy, Boston. What the heck?
The way that I left it with this client / friend,
I'm gonna just take that
on here spreading what she wants to spread, was she told me that she was going to leave me a positive review, film a testimonial video for
That's
me,
too much, yeah.
and she seemed really happy. So if she wasn't happy, that's on her to tell me what she wasn't happy about so we could make that right. And if she wants to say that I scammed her, that's okay.
Oh.
If she wants to say that I forced her to stay on the phone while she made her first payment, okay. Her card got declined and she seemed really flustered. So I said, I'll wait with you. No problem. And some people ask what it means when I put on my shoes at my psychiatrist's office. I have ADHD. I do not like wearing shoes. I like...
What does that have to do with anything? That's not a symptom of ADHD. What?
Sitting in chairs weirdly. So usually when I go anywhere, I just kick off my shoes and sit in a chair. Weird.
Girl, you just nasty. That's not ADHD. That's just yo nasty self, bro. What the... That's crazy. I don't brush my teeth because I have ADHD. It's like, girl.
If you know, you know. Okay?
Oh my god.
So when I got to my car, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, what was that? And did he just say, see you next month? Because it was weird. So I go home, kind of rattled.
I feel like that's a super normal
that was intense.
way to say goodbye to somebody.
The email to my therapist. I'll put it right here. The one who had begged me to come in for another session. Who was also having inappropriate boundary crossings with me.
Respectfully, I ain't reading all that.
And so I just told her, I was like, look, I understand it was sudden, but if I were to come back in, it'd be more for you than for me.
I don't see how this is relevant.
Fill out a form.
I do not care.
Right? Here, give me a form to fill out for your notes. And then she said, it's a part of my clinical integrity to invite you back in. To put your needs above mine? Your clinical integrity? Yeah, I did not write her back. And
it's really just, it's not that deep, bro. Like, I don't understand how she's like, she's always offended about something, and like, it's always, there's like secret messages about how people, it's just like, she's just saying that like, it's usually not her practice to like, it's better to provide closure. I mean, I will agree, like, personally, I think it's a bit too much. Like, you just gotta let them go. But I get it. But I'm skipping this.
Something I forgot to mention about that February session is that I did ask him why he stopped responding to my emails.
Oh?
Because I thought that the counter-transfer
What'd he say?
he was definitely going to write back to. Because, like, let's talk about that,
no,
right? But no,
you're not paying
I
me,
had
so.
to bring it up in session, where he usually brought up what I would email him in session. So that was the difference.
And just to clarify again for the people that haven't been here the whole time, we did talk about this earlier, that is a super valid thing to do. Like, you keep your communication to within the session. If you get messages that aren't of an urgent matter, like, you keep them to address in the next session. Like, that's super normal. That's how you do it.
So after the intimate dream confession, as I was leaving and he was following me, I asked him, I said, do you like it when I email you? Because I realized that you're just not writing me back.
Cheers.
And he said, well, it's not that I don't like it. It's that I wonder, why does she do it? And I looked at him and I said, it's because I want attention from you.
Oh my God.
I was honest. I'm an honest person. Sometimes too honest. So I told him, I won't email you anymore.
Yeah, girl, you've been too honest on here, I'm not gonna lie.
Another thing that happened after that session was I was waiting for my pharmacy to text me that my...
Wait, this whole thing is attention. She's literally live right now. She's been live. This is her getting attention on TikTok.
My script was ready. And I called them and they said, oh, yeah, we didn't get your refill. I was like, what? So I called the office staff and it was so unlike my psychiatrist to miss my refill.
Oh yeah, we will watch her live.
That man operated as a doctor with surgical precision. He did not miss a refill. No.
Yeah, so I think now she's in the office. She's doing... Oh God, we can ask questions.
No. So this is why he was very affected by the intimate dream, why he followed me out to the foyer, why he said, see you next month. He was affected. And even the office manager was like,
God forbid a dude be uncomfortable with sexual harassment. Like, what?
Haha, I can't wait to make fun of him for forgetting your refill, because it was so unlike him. So he sent my refill in, got my refill for the month, and then I started spiraling with just how strong my feelings had gotten for him.
Oh my God.
That man knew exactly what to do to keep me seeking his validation, and it was working. He also was psychologically trained on how to keep me attached to him, and that was working. And it was like a torture chamber in my mind. But
guys, the only thing that I'm psychologically trained to do is write frickin' essays, bro. Like, to suffer and write like 20-page papers. There's no manipulation. Like, I am not out here scheming like this. I don't have the mental energy to do this. This is like insane.
I thought it was love. So I blocked that ex-boyfriend, and what I'd like to say is that when you block people from your life or remove them from your life that are draining you, the universe will reward you with good things.
This should sell so well as this month.
So
I'm sure there's one already.
I've been making content on Instagram for months at this point about ADHD, and a couple days after I blocked my ex-boyfriend on Valentine's Day, I went viral on Instagram. Like, millions and millions of views on this silly reel that I posted about ADHD and alcohol, and how ADHDers often use alcohol to quiet their brains. It really helped grow my business, and it just made me so much stronger and that much better. I'm here today sharing my story so I can heal more. And some of the ethical providers have clocked that I'm showing up
It's not clocking to you, that is standing on business.
I'm still processing trauma. I'm still processing being attacked.
Girl, process it in a private forum, bro. Like, not on TikTok. If it was unethical, send this evidence to the board of psychiatry in your state. Like, y'all, somebody's got to take her phone away, bro.
A man who's...
The ADHD alcohol thing is actually real, kind of. Yeah, no, it's definitely real. I don't know so much about like the quieting the mind thing. That's not so much, but I think there's some interesting like stuff to talk about, like stimulation, because it's stimulating, right? It's a stimulating thing to do. Even though it's like a downer, but it's, you know what I mean? Like it's a experience that engages you, right? I'm here today, more delusional than ever, dreaming of having sex with my therapist.
Professional training was how to get into people's heads. And it's not lost on me.
That's not what the training is. That's not what any of the training is. It's not to get into people's heads.
That the internet is dogpiling me from speaking from the exact state that the psychiatrist put me in. I've been going live every night since I started telling my story because I did have to turn the comments off. I was so tired of people diagnosing me in the comments and
That's
also doxing my psychiatrist in the comments.
That's also fair.
But it's been really fun answering questions in the live, and I have a great mod team now, so thank you so much to everyone who's volunteered to mod for me. So if you want to come and be respectful and ask nice questions, I'm happy to answer them on my live tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific. There's an absolutely brilliant creator on here.
Okay.
Who did
I feel like we're good. Is she live? Where is she live? Is she live? How do I know if she's live? So I go here and I click this. Does it go to the live? Oh? Oh no! It ended. Shoot. We missed it. Part 22. Is she milking this? She is milking this.
I do what I do every month, and I compile a list of fun things to talk about with Psychiatrist in my...
But most mods are... You know, it does kind of... I think she's reaching lolcow levels. Like, I should say, if you're watching this, don't tap the glass, okay? We only observe. Do not interact. But one of the mods is also experiencing her hiding her love for... yeah. Is she live? It keeps on saying she's live. Bruh. I'm so sad. Okay, let's look at some commentary, okay? Okay, that's the client. There's some pretty good skits that I've seen. Okay. Do you guys know anybody that's... That's how I feel with Gohan. One day I'll admit it. I've been psychologically trained to be manipulative, so I'll never admit it. I'm too professional. I ride the line too well. I'm too well put together. Okay, he's a psychiatrist.
I'm a board-certified psychiatrist.
Yeah, tell us what's up.
Share my thoughts on this viral video about this woman.
Yeah.
Who discusses falling in love.
Oh my God! Careful, you're her type.
That journey publicly on TikTok.
That's crazy.
So for context, I went to I did residency in 2019, and I became a full-fledged attending in 2024, and now I'm in private practice.
Okay. Okay.
The whole story, summarized, is that she started seeing the psychiatrist a couple years ago. And she felt like...
Can I speed this up?
Really listened to her, was warm towards her, was caring towards her, gave her a safe space to speak, but also that he was hot and cold, and that he was warm and empathetic, but then he was also cold and clinical, so to speak.
He's just a dude with emotions. Like, I don't get it.
Eventually, what had ended up happening was that the patient realized that they were doing Zoom sessions for a couple of years. She saw that there was an opportunity to do in-person sessions. So she took the in-person sessions, and she says that when the psychiatrist when she hugged the psychiatrist, he kind of just gave her a pat on the back. And then after this had happened, she had told the psychiatrist that she loved him, and he didn't really know what to say.
Yeah, fair.
But then had still said, okay, let's schedule for a follow-up visit. And then this is when the patient starts coming online and then saying that the psychiatrist was pretty much grooming her and in love with her and was trying to facilitate this whole thing about that. So that is the story of it. So the question that I've been receiving is this unprofessional?
No,
so
it's super.
When I was in
it seems very professional,
something
but
that was discussed. What we were told and what we're taught in psychiatry is that if a patient does this, then you don't want to make the patient feel shame or abandoned.
Yes, true. Especially because he said that she had trauma in the past.
Okay, let's discuss it. That's interesting. How did these things develop? do you think this will affect our therapeutic relationship?
True.
I would explore those with the patient, just like I think the psychiatrist was going to do in these
Yes.
sessions.
Yeah.
But it looks like this patient did not give the psychiatrist a chance to do that. I wouldn't immediately dismiss the patient, put them on with a different psychiatrist, because now the patient will feel abandoned. What this is going to do is, imagine if you're a patient and you disclose something very vulnerable, very truthful to someone, and now they shut you down. So by doing that, I wouldn't do that, because then the patient is going to feel abandoned.
I do think he probably could have drawn a stronger boundary, but I think this is valid.
They're going to feel rejected, and now the patient in the future is going to be conditioned that if I tell the truth, then I will be shamed for it. I will be rejected for it. Therefore, it's going to condition the patient to not tell the truth. And this is why we don't just immediately dismiss patients like that. So the psychiatrist was completely in the way that they handled the interaction.
Very true.
And it's not like this was a first-time visit. They had established a long-standing bond for years. So the psychiatrist must have felt that this was a safe space where they could discuss it with the patient. And it's unfortunate that the patient reacted this way. Me and many other psychiatrists would react the same way, not to shame the patient. Furthermore, let's say we say, okay, I'm going to transfer you to someone else. Now is that other person going to take the patient's insurance? Are they going to have the same rapport with the patient? Or if the patient is struggling, and now in the interim of trying to transfer them on to another psychiatrist, the patient decompensates, and now you're in the wrong. The patient was saying that the psychiatrist was hot and cold. He was warming, and like he was kind of grooming me to start doing this type of stuff. Well, are you really? Imagine if the psychiatrist was just pure cold, poor clinical, then the patient would say that, okay, this psychiatrist was a complete ass. In psychiatry, I have to know how to balance between being warm, empathetic, friendly, creating a good connection with the patient, but at the same time also being clinical, logical, and more detached, because that's why patients are coming to me for my expertise. They're not coming to me to be their friend. They're coming to me to be their psychiatrist, to give them that clinical expertise.
Like, I totally get this, because it's like when you're like for psychology, right? This isn't the same as psychiatry, but in psychology, imagine you're in a session, right? Your psychologist is listening to you, taking notes, paying attention to you. He's really making you feel seen, and like he's not judging you at all. And then at some point they want to bring up diagnosis, right? And now all of a sudden it's going to feel like they're judgy, right? Because you're like, wait, I thought you weren't judging me at all, but now you've got like a whole thing. You got like, you're analyzing me, and now this feels weird. But like that's what they pay psychologists to do. So it's like, obviously, like I can't just be vibing here like a homie the whole time. Like I gotta lock in and do my job. It does feel like that, it's like the warm part where you're with the client, and then the cold part is when you're doing the damn paperwork. When you're trying to get insurance to pay out. But they were analyzing all along. No, well, it depends, but I think usually you would make notes of things that occur to you in the moment, but you're not necessarily analyzing stuff. And then after the session is usually better to analyze, because if you analyze during the session, you're going to start like, and I think this will vary like based on approach, but in my opinion, and I'm not a clinical psychologist, I'm not licensed or anything. In my opinion, if you try to analyze during the session too much, then you're going to like basically you're going to pollute the data pool, so to speak. Yeah, so it's observation, like open dialogue, and then analysis afterwards. Yeah, that's why we have like specific, like you have to make case reports, and in case reports you have to like do case analysis and stuff like that.
That I spent 4 years in medical school, 5 years in residency and fellowship learning about. A second question I've gotten is, does this patient have borderline personality disorder, BPD? Now,
don't answer that. Yeah. Base.
But something I can comment on is the fear of abandonment. So BPD patients,
and he's no. I'm just gonna not let him do that. I'm not comfortable with ever diagnosing somebody. Like, it's just it's inappropriate. So I'm gonna just, yeah. I don't know what she has, but it's not good. And this, it's not good because she's harassing this guy. And honestly, TikTok, they need to delete this account and block her. Like, they need to IP ban her. That's my opinion. Wild. I think he was explaining the thought as to why people would believe that. He was definitely pretty fair. I don't think it's wrong to explain that. I just, for me, I don't want to like entertain that. I don't think there's anything wrong with him explaining like BPD patients experience this, but to me it's like poisoning the well. Like he's almost saying like, well, I'm not saying that, but they do experience this, so I understand how you could think that. Yeah, and 100% him doing that, will people take it as admission? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he means it like that, but I just know on the internet, you basically, you just decline to comment. Like, you don't give them anything, even though you want to. Like, I try to, if anybody ever asks, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I've been mindless and accidentally said something, but I try not to give any ammo for like diagnosis, because I think you can comment enough about individual symptoms without alluding to it being a diagnosis, because ultimately she's an individual. Even a diagnosis isn't going to explain the totality of her experience, right? So all right, well, that was
let's go Caribbean tonight.
Yeah, let's go Caribbean tonight. But yeah, that was that. Unhinged, right? That's crazy. That was the rabbit hole I went down. I thought it was interesting because it had to do a lot with psychology and stuff. So fascinating, right? Any thoughts, comments, concerns, questions? Oh god, my buddy's girl broke up with him and through randomness he had diagnosed she was avoidant personality disorder and was scheming to get back. That was fun, bruh. Yeah, it was definitely funny. In like a train wreck kind of way. Like, it's good to observe from a difference. Love lol cows. Yeah, unfortunately, I think she has either is approaching at light speed or has become a lol cow. I'd like to join one of her lives to see, because I feel like the streams are gonna be the indicator of if she's a true lol cow. Because she's turning comments off, and honestly, most lol cows don't do that. So we have been getting a lot. Honestly, TikTok has been deadly for lol cows. You're so tired. Yeah, I'm gonna head to bed as well. But yeah, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. And yeah. If you're not following, if you're new to the channel, please follow. If you have Amazon Prime sub, free. But of course only if you feel like what I do is worth your Prime. And yeah, thank you guys for coming, hanging out. diving into this insanity with me. And we'll be back at some point. Probably, hopefully tomorrow, but we'll see. My life has been somewhat unpredictable recently, so as such, stream schedule will be unpredictable. But I'll try to make it somewhat predictable, just for you guys, so. Alright, well, you know the drill. We gotta go to bed. But as always, work hard, be kind, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Oh, what the heck is this? Bruh. See ya.